Oh man, I still got the Raggedy Cape. I can't remember if the Icarus quest is actually in this version or not. Yo, what's up, Zabanes? Not late today, indeed. Playing some MapleStory. I decided to get the regular stream playlist up and running today. Oh wait, I should drink my potions. I thought I fixed that. God damn it. I guess I forgot to. Yeah, the check-in has like a busted trigger for your custom weapon. But this quest is that's another Sleepywood quest, kill 999 curse eyes. Oh my god, so many drops. I am really curious about. It just hates me. No, it's because I haven't fixed it. I haven't actually. The last couple days, I've been kind of just chilling. What was that item? Do you see that? It looked like a necklace or something. Mardi Gras bead necklace. A necklace found on a mob. It should be returned to the Mardi Gras sisters. Oh, they're doing a Mardi Gras event. Wait. Mardi Gras? Isn't it too early for that? I don't fucking know. I'm pretty sure, because Mardi Gras is like generally near. I thought NAIC was like a little bit closer to Mardi Gras. But I know that Mardi Gras is like, a long celebration. It's not just like one weekend or anything. Right? Isn't it like a week long or like a month long or 2 month long, like kind of festival, Joan? Not that I know. I don't know. Mardi Gras kind of fell off. I don't know. It was a lot more exhilarating when I was younger, I guess. And I guess maybe now that I've actually been in New Orleans, it's not really like, not to disrespect the culture. I don't know. I think maybe we've just become more hedonistic. So Mardi Gras doesn't seem as debauched. Maybe it just seems like a normal party by comparison nowadays. But one thing, playing Chronostory with the drop rates, that is actually one thing I think I would like. We talk a lot about the experience rates for Classic World. And currently the demos that people have been playing at the PC Cafe event for Classic World have not been representative, right? Like, I don't even think there are any drop equips in the PC demos. I think that you just get your base level 50 equipment and you go from there. I don't remember if any of the equipment that was shown in screenshots were dropped from monsters to actually indicate the range. Because one thing I talked about with MapleStory is how the equipment that is dropped from monsters will have slightly randomized stats compared to ones that you would be able to buy in the shop or get from quests. You know what I mean? And so you have a chance for monster equips to be that much more valuable, because a weapon that high rolls for just a couple extra points of weapon attack can save you so much money in the long run, because you might be able to carry a level 30 weapon till level 40 rather than needing to swap it out at level 37 or have to go through a batch of really long levels with poor attack power. And the longer you can use one set of equipment, you know, or weapon, the more money you save in the long run because you aren't paying to upgrade it, right? And that is also one big factor regarding like luckless and dexless builds, is that you don't have to spend to continuously upgrade your set. You just have that base set, that equipment that you just use for however long of time. The only upgrades you really need to make are your weapon, because the sauna robe, etc., those are all face stompers, I believe, are a level 50 requirement. But like the base bamboo hat, sauna robe stuff is pretty much doesn't have any real restrictions. You know what I mean? And by forcing players to upgrade their equipment, you're also pulling money out of the economy, which is so important. Even if the equipment is being bought by another player in MapleStory, when you trade with another player a big chunk of Mesos, they tax you. I forget the percentage. But that's just money that just vanishes into the ether. You know what I mean? When you pay to use the taxi, when you pay to take the boat to Ludibrium. Oops, I don't want to fight these down here yet. I did fight them. I can't hit lupins 100% of the time, but I can fight them. And I did get 50 bananas from them for the other quest, Ronnie's quest. And that is another really big point, I would say, against the luckless and dexless sauna robe builds. It really stinks because if you're trying to go for nostalgia, like the classic MapleStory crowd, it is a very iconic look, and it's what a lot of people remember. It's what a lot of assassins are going to go for, even if it's not optimal. That is one thing I would really appreciate, is if they left. I think that's probably the compromise, is they have to leave the dexless builds in the game. Probably not the luckless builds, because I think that they're trying to get priests and clerics away from, you can only train on 4 maps with undead monsters. And the reason that luckless was so strong is just because of the way that magic attack calculations worked. Togain has a great video about it. Essentially that putting a point in intelligence is equivalent to literally just putting a point in magic attack. So every wand that requires luck to equip, you're literally missing out on that exact difference in raw damage by just putting points in intelligence, right? So I don't know if they've had any confirmation about that formula being changed under the hood. You can still make it so that the damage numbers that you're arrived at are the same. And regarding the demos that were being played at the PC Cafe and even at the MapleCon, I don't think there is a way to actually test. I guess you could with the stat resets and just put everything into intelligence and see what your damage comes out to. But without the equipment, right? Because I don't think they have scrolls in that where people are trying to high roll a sauna robe just to test a janky pseudo luckless build or a dexless build. And I think that the compromise will just be keep those dexless and luckless builds in the game with the sauna robes, but make them fall off, make them suboptimal. Because that was always the biggest thing, right? Is that these builds were just so insane. And to be honest, when Classic World jumps up, yo, what's up, Klitikoff, and welcome in. And also Crossman, I can't remember if I said welcome. Welcome. But I think that when the game first drops, without maple weapons in the game, I do think that luckless and dexless builds do get outscaled by normal builds. I'd have to refresh my memory. Again, Togain is just a great channel in general. Even if you don't plan on playing MapleStory, if you have any sort of nostalgia for the game, just like the historical research that goes into making these videos and breaking down some of the under the hood numbers for some of these old builds and trends and meta stuff is fascinating to me, because I was so young back in the day. We knew that Dexless was strong, but we didn't understand precisely why. That Riftbound tweet you sent was quite sad and unfortunate. Yeah, you saw that? Yo, what's up, Mad Wheels? I don't know if you remember that stream where we were speculating about Riftbound, but hopefully they'll be, and usually that's what happens. Set 1 has availability problems, maybe like power problems where one deck is like really out of whack compared to everybody else. And then set 2 usually adds like some really nonsense shit that's like, oh my god, what the heck are they doing here in set 2? And then set 3 is generally where they start to rein things in. Set 3, set 4, and then we find like a good equilibrium. I can't really recall a game that was incredibly based just with only a couple sets released. Maybe Runeterra, if we're being honest. Like Bilgewater release was insane. Is Riftbound finally dead? No. I saw a tweet. So for those of you who aren't familiar, I saw a tweet from a player who is a Riftbound pro. Flew to China to play in the early regionals. I think won a regional over there. Has been winning and top cutting several of the Riftbound regionals apparently so far, and wrote a Substack article kind of going into some of the balance and design issues with how the game is played at a high level, and how the way the game works and the card pool right now has driven the game into a really a very volatile state. Set 1 through 4 is the power level of the game. Yeah, generally you're kind of figuring out what works, setting up the baseline. And this article that I'm talking about, I'll have to look it up and post it in the chat for y'all. But in that article, the player does say that he wants to get clarification from the devs about how the game is supposed to be played. Because this is another big point that we've discussed on the stream time and time again. It's not just about what's good and what's bad. It's also about what people agree is good and bad, and what is being played, and how the game is being played. You know what I mean? Think of it this way. There are certain things called, like, it's plus EV. It's a poker term. A positive expected value, right? Where this kind of gives credence to the mindset of you've got to force them to have it. You know what I mean? Where if you play overly cautiously, then you're going to miss out on opportunities to gain an advantage over your opponent, because you're essentially boxing shadows, right? By always playing around the worst possible outcome, you can miss out on opportunities to just gain a really easy winning advantage for yourself, right? And there are certain lines in games where you always do, in a certain situation presented to you, you always do a predetermined action and never deviate from that action. And that's the concept of plus EV. In that, in the long run, when presented with the same situation over and over again, you will win more than you will lose. Okay? And if the collective player base agrees as a rule of thumb that a certain line of play is optimal, then that also dictates how your game is played at a high level. You know what I mean? Ooh, we got somebody else on the map. Let's go. 2 more people on the map. Heavens to Betsy. Let's divvy this up. I'll just stay on the top platform. I don't know if the presence of extra people will actually increase the spawn rate. And this is going to be something really important to work on for Classic World is the maps are going to be crowded as fuck, and you're going to have to sit on one platform, and then that's your island. Not dead game. This is in MapleStory Worlds, the servers are intentionally like don't hold a realistic amount of players. Like they're naturally way smaller. Oh, that's a bandit. Got the pan lid and the reef claw. Leave party. Oops. Yeah, yeah. Look at that man double stabbing. Why are you jumping so high? You got haste? You're level 35. That's why you aren't using Savage Blow, I'll tell you that. The way beat Draven is literally just avoid combat. Basically, it's a bunch of folks mad at the new Draven legend. That's the thing, right? To get to my main point about this Riftbound article is essentially the game is based around the attacking player needing to take a really big aggressive risk super early in the game. And it's due to the fact that there are several incredibly cheap combat tricks that invalidate combat, right? So it's super easy to hold up these really, really devastating effects over your opponent, and they are forced to contest and see if you have it. And it's too hard to put enough power in play that can go over top of these spells. And that was essentially the crux of the article. Is that if you realistically want to... I guess, how do I put it? I'm trying to think of like a Runeterra equivalency. I guess it's kind of like trying to cover for suit up all the time. Like when you were playing against TF Fizz, you know what I mean? And it's like, I need to kill Fizz, and you have to constantly take really big risks to get Fizz off of the board. Because if you don't, he's just going to beat you up. But if your opponent counters your attempt to kill Fizz, like 2 or 3 times, then you're just so far behind from wasting your fucking cards that you kind of lose on the spot anyway. This was a similar situation. This is a similar situation to Ranger's Resolve, if you remember. I was trying to explain to people why Ranger's Resolve was so goddamn broken. And I was like, because if your opponent tries twice to remove Misfortune and fails, they just lose the game automatically. And it took a while for that style of play to come off. That's just part of TCG's though. I do agree. And the writer of this article knows that that is also the case. And regarding the way the game is supposed to be played, hang on a second. Let me go into my options. I feel like the sound of the monsters dying is really loud. And if that's the way the game is supposed to be played, then people can just do their plus EV at each other and test the hand quality and go for the and do the best they can, right? But I think that, like Runeterra, the game was sort of presented as a certain strategic, methodical game, and now the ability to go into these really hyper-volatile board states as early as turn 2 has shifted the overall vibe of the game, right? But the big part of this argument that I wanted to touch on isn't about, is this good for the game, is this bad for the game? It's that I specifically clocked when somebody levels up, you type grats, or GZ for short. It's Maple etiquette. You need to know this for Classic World. Especially in Classic World, because the grind is real. When I was hearing about the rules of the game, I specifically clocked that was going to be an issue, because the loser of a showdown loses their entire fucking army, right? It feels like people who whine about that need to either not play TCGs or play non-interactive ones like Pokemon. It's whining for nothing, like you didn't know power creep would happen. I wonder if it's like if it's a power creep thing, or just like I think it's just a lost palatability thing is all. Because like I say, if you sniff out that your opponent has a really devastating combat trick that will make you lose the game on the spot, obviously you're going to try to buy some time elsewhere or go for a different line to go around it, right? I think that Riftbound just doesn't have sufficient means for players to approach the game from a side angle or go around a unit. You know what I mean? Like in Legends of Runeterra, your opponent can have a lot of combat tricks and can have a really big scary unit, but if you're wide enough, you can try to race them down. And I think in Riftbound, because of the showdown system, you don't have a way to, you're kind of corralled and you're kettled into directly contesting your opponent. You know what I mean? I think that's what I'm getting at. So again, play Pokemon. And I think it's just, Riftbound just needs to clarify that this is the way that they want the game to be played, is they want these really volatile, exciting, you know what I mean? They want it to be like really fucking high stakes. And that's certainly going to turn off some players, and that's totally their prerogative to be like, oh, well, if this is how it is, then I will go play something else. But I think they do still have valid complaints in the meantime. Riftbound does feel like a one-player game most times, where one player stomps unless you have the exact answers. It's just cooked. It does remind me of Yu-Gi-Oh! In some lights. And I just wonder, you know, the players who are signing up for Riftbound, they might not necessarily be wanting to play that style of game. But similar to our Cyberpunk discussion, how I was really trying to call attention how there's like massive potential for degeneracy regarding game plans and how the games actually play out. Riftbound also had that potential, and I was trying to call it out earlier, because if your opponent has one or two things guarding a point and you contest, and you lose that attack, you know, you lose that combat, your entire army is killed. You don't even deal like residual damage, which is a huge issue. And in Cyberpunk, this could theoretically also be an issue where it's like, I don't have anything big enough to get over this thing, but I could at least go wide. Maybe drop like a couple cheap blockers to save the crackback and steal some gigs. You know what I mean? You need the ability to go around threats. Otherwise, it's whoever can win best in straight up combat. And in the article I was mentioning, there is also the angle that the player discusses about how typically if you're not confident in combat, you can use spells and removal in order to shore up your combat potential. But Riftbound apparently also has been really over assigning the deflect keyword, which is when in order to target the unit with a spell, you have to pay an extra energy to do so, an extra mana, so to speak. I'm gonna be real, a TCG without the up capability for degen is boring and would never sell. Yeah, yeah. I think like it's fine to do a very strong degenerate strategy, but when the game degenerates around a very highly volatile decision that's sort of forced upon the player early in the game, it becomes really unpalatable. That's the kind of degeneracy that is bad for game design. There's degen in terms of meta power level, right? Decks that win really hard by abusing some specific mechanic that's not really fun to play against is generally touted as degen gameplay. But true degenerate, like using it in the verb sense, right, where a game, a meta, a tree of decision making eventually gets over centralized around a few options, that is the game degenerating, right? That's what I mean to say. And it's similar to how in some games, you know, you don't feel agency and you're like, oh, well, I just lost because of the coin flip, or it's a roulette wheel about as long as I hit my good meta matchups, then I win. But if I hit my bad matchups, then it's completely unplayable. And as decisions become more forced or more predetermined, and less agency is presented to the player with their in-game decisions, then they will always cry degeneracy. Lots of y'all should just play chess. No, I don't want to misrepresent this player's argument, because they obviously have a much better understanding of Riftbound than I do. I just mean to say that regardless of your game design, there are always, oh, this could very easily result in this really stale pattern of play. You know what I mean? I'm noticing this bandit is using steel. And I don't know if in Chronostory that they've copped the MapleStory Classic World style of steel, where it grants a weapon attack buff. Because I clicked them earlier and they're level 35, which means that they don't actually have Savage Blow scaled up. Savage Blow doesn't scale up until level 45 or so, where it's actually better than Double Stab after you've maxed Mastery and all that. There is a certain level of like nonsense that TCG players can have a tolerance for, and it differs from player to player. That stuff doesn't bother me. Well, this article was written by like one of the top competitive players. And so, you know how it is. If you're playing in tournaments and spending money to attend these tournaments, it feels really fucking bad to like get completely rolled like that, because you have less angles to outplay your opponent when you have to all in super early as fuck in the game. That's what I mean, Mad Wheels. Like when you know that you can gap your opponent and they just have the nuts and you just lose, and it happens a lot, like it becomes an issue. Aurelia Azir comes to mind as a deck that was really, really testing to your draw quality. There was certainly some agency there if you knew the matchup super well, but I'm just going to up my mastery. I think I'll put another point to rage. I don't really need booster. I'm intentionally putting points into rage, which is an AoE. It's a party buff for attack power. I did complete the Scarzig quest already, but I think I'll just hang out here. If we've got homies grinding, then I'm down to just kind of grind and yap a bit. You know what I mean? Get the experience bonus. Because Scarzig, this is obviously a really good training map. The monsters are dense. My Slash Blast is doing work. Yo, what's up, Ben? Welcome in. Good to see you. And as I say, for Cyberpunk TCG, there are multiple ways that the game, the intended design and the intended gameplay patterns are completely discarded by the player base, and things start to go incredibly wrong. I'll be able to make a deeper read once I see the card pool, but I can see the pitfalls. You know what I mean? There are some players, some card game players that do not care about the design of the game. They only want to get as good as possible within that design. And just try to win as many tournaments as possible for as long as they can. You know what I mean? Do we know when the Cyberpunk card pool is getting shown anyway? They'll probably be teasing a few cards here and there now that the Kickstarter is about to launch. They recently posted an article, which I actually do still need to read. They emailed me. They won't let me, hang on, they won't let me click this. Available Cold Eye. Somewhere around Sleepy Dungeon 2. Did they fucking teleport? No, they probably did Nearest Town. I don't think they have teleport rocks in Chronostory. I don't see the point in playing a game that you complain about. No, you should always complain about the games that you... I need space in my inventory. Oh, hang on. Yeah. You don't have enough space in your inventory. Oh my god. I don't need magic potions. I don't need these damn wizard potions. I don't need the Rogers apple. My god. I mean, you have to... Complaining in a game... Oh, gloves for attack? Fuck yeah. Got to turn on my my Jonies. Hang on. Where is Sleepy Dungeon 2? Can I look at the map in here? Oh my god, they actually have a map. Sleepy Dungeon 2. Oh, it's the other way. Teehee. I'll eat a speed candy as well. So I can hyper boost out of here. Wait, can I just use the portal? Thank God. Okay. There's an interesting active criticism, which could aid a game's development in whining because skill issue, like FGC players. I definitely get it. I feel that players... I think it was... I can't remember if it's a Hearthstone article. Wait, what the fuck? How do I get to Sleepy Dungeon 2? I think we have to go through... Is it this house? Oh my god, I'm such a noob. Where the fuck is Sleepy Dungeon 2? Hopefully it's over here. No, that's going to Henny. Where does this go? This is leading to... Yeah. I think I need to go north. I hope they make fun of me once I find my way over there. Um sorry, I got distracted. There is an old article. I can't remember exactly what the context was, but the line that always stuck with me is that players are very, very good at identifying problems with the game, but very, very bad at telling you solutions. Your job as the designer is to kind of read between the lines. Okay, this is deep forest. Fuck! How do I get to sleep? Okay, hang on. The fuck? I'm gonna pretend like did they move Sleepy Dungeon? I'm gonna pretend like I know where it is, but they moved it. It's the same place. Fuck! I'm trying to pretend like I know where it is. They're gonna make fun of me. Sleepy Dungeon. Come back to Sleepywood. I'm such a noob. Thank you. I can do my skill points anyway. It's the brown door next to the VIP cab. Did you update the hit effect? I like the font. Oh, yeah, yeah, the monster hit effect. Yes. Hope I can hit these fucking things. Yeah, I can. Hang on. Put rage on the homies. But yeah, I updated the numbers a while back. Ooh, mock bees? Let's go. I don't think I can't remember how much mock bees sell for. I think in Chronostory, Ilbees are like insane because they changed the acquisition method. I might be misremembering. It's Chronostory or Artale. They like changed the acquisition method and it makes them like fucking ridiculously rare. It might be Artale because I think they changed it so that the projectiles are just equipment. They don't need to be recharged. And so in order to balance that, they made them way harder to get. Not like you're going to catch me playing an assassin anytime soon. But no, it was when we yeah, because I had spent that stream making the new attack particle effects and assigning them. And then we made the animation for the new damage bubble with the new numbers. Because it's like a really good mixture between MapleStory and Paper Mario. And if you crit, the numbers are even pink, like MapleStory, which is pretty cool. Really fun. I hope you all appreciate my trying to save face and pretend like I knew where this map was, but oh, they must have just moved it. That's gonna be super funny in Classic World, where everybody's gonna be trying to remember where all the fucking old maps are. It was a good gambit. Yeah, so we got Unagi, Pure Water, a bunch of XP. They added this hub that you can go to like sell all your equips. I hope that, honestly, I kind of hope that Classic World keeps a higher equipment drop rate. This was something I was saying earlier, is Red Duke. This one's 57 and this one is 40. Yeah. Right, where the equips that are dropped from monsters are slightly randomized, and so you can like high roll stats onto them. This one is Dex +5. My god. The Bowman outfit. And I think it would be a really great way to keep the economy moving. And if they get rid of Dexless, like, or no secondary stat builds that they've been famous for, it allows you to upgrade your equipment more consistently. And so then there's more changing of hands of items. When you're able to just... And don't get me wrong, like, you're always going to be funded. You know what I mean? Like, longtime players are always going to have money from their powerful character that they can use to buy all the best stuff for the new character they just made. And so, back in my day, like, when you were Dexless, it was a sign of being funded. And it's one of those things where, like, the rich get richer, because you just make one really big upfront investment, and then that character has equipment for the rest of its lifespan. And it over-centralizes the market around those long-term, long-lasting equipments. And so then less money is leaving the economy, and it causes mapleflation. Oh wait, I have to accept the new quest off of this before I actually start killing stuff. Kill 999 of these. Let's go. I guess I'm just different. I mean, like I say, everybody has their own tolerances for things. And sometimes the game is one way that you really like, and then the design of the game shifts. And not everybody will jive with the new design direction or the new balance. You know what I mean? It certainly is like a very healthy mindset to just simply play the game that's presented to you. Like, Azul is a great example, you know, where people go into his stream, he's a top player, and ask him, like, oh, what's your opinion on this broken deck? Or do you think they should ban this card? Or da-da-da. And he's like, I don't know. I don't care. It's not my job to balance the game. And you gotta respect the guy who knows what his fucking lane is. Because I am a complainer. Always have been. But that's just because I am more of a designer myself, personally. I think it is very fascinating where you're able to see the whole in a strategy and kind of extrapolate how this can be over centralizing or abused in some way. And then that sweet, sweet dopamine when you're vindicated. Kind of like how in the Pokemon TCG, they've designed really, really tanky Stage 1 Pokemon, the middle evolutions, in order to facilitate the viability of Stage 2 Pokemon, even when you don't have rare candy. You're always going to need some sort of accelerated evolution method to keep Stage 2 decks viable. But a part of shoring up those strategies is also making it a safe play to put a Stage 1 Pokemon in play. At which point you shouldn't play the game anymore. If you don't like the design, don't play. Whining is obnoxious. Just go make your own game or quit. To an extent, certainly. Because Klutikoffen, right, had brought up the FGC. And that can also be, like, really bad for your mental health, right? League of Legends also being another great example, I think, where the balance is very volatile and out of whack and is designed to create incredibly one-sided and unfun interactions between the players. And a lot of players of those genres would be incredibly well served by just stopping playing the game. Because that's why I don't play League of Legends anymore. Either you really don't get to play, or the game that you do play is incredibly boring. And getting good at League of Legends is more of a mental exercise of overcoming your fucking demons and tilt than actually executing on the game well. That's not entirely true, but it is optimal to literally play League of Legends and not communicate with your teammates directly at all, which is a huge problem. I think it is antithetical to a team game when it's it's best not to be able to see messages from anybody. And it's kind of a paradox too, because if your opinions about the metagame will theoretically be a little bit more accurate if you're a high-level player. You know what I mean? So that feedback is potentially worth a little bit more. Because that's another thing about card games, is that sometimes you end up overbalancing the game around the highest levels of play. Like, there's certain matchups or certain scenarios that only really happen in tournaments and not really in casual play. And it still needs to be addressed, and one side of your player base is going to kind of catch splash damage. Like Karma Ezreal is an example that comes to mind for me. It was a deck that was really, really strong in tournaments, but not really present on the ladder. But it still needed to be nerfed because it was just impossible to get it out of the tournament metagame. If I'm being honest, when I remember original Karma Ezreal, it got bullied out of tournaments by scouts. They had to print scouts in order to make a deck fast enough to actually challenge that deck. And Ranger's Resolve completely ate Ezreal Karma's breakfast and lunch and dinner. Lissandra Control comes to mind. Oh, man. Lissandra Control would have been balanced, I think, if not for Atrocity. Man, that was crazy. All my buffs expired at the same time. How unsettling. I hope he got the rage buff. Liz didn't run Atrocity. I'm pretty sure Atrocity was already there. No, no. You mean like lists as in like TLC? It absolutely did. That deck was insane because it had like 4 or 5 win conditions. Like, you would die to the Watcher, you would die to the 8/8s, the Thralls. You could just get run over by Trundle sometimes, and then they also had the Watcher itself obliterating your deck, or it would hit you if you're able to silence it and negate that. Or sometimes they would just play like 3 copies of the Watcher because of the way you could duplicate it. That deck was monstrous. I like design too. That's why I have conversations with you. But the idea of OMG bag design crying until they fix it doesn't sit well with me. I definitely agree that we need to be able to fully understand the core of an issue and the core of a complaint before reacting. You can't main deck Watcher, sir. Yeah, the token monster that Lysandra created. But they had that spell where you could put a unit from your hand into play. I can't... You know what I'm talking about, though, right? And so people would use that to turbo out the Watcher or even make extra copies of it. Because I do remember it's like, yeah, you might be able to survive the first Watcher, but not necessarily the second or the third. Spectral Matron. Yes, that's the one. Thank you for the coffin. That's what I'm saying. Like, you could survive the first one, maybe the second one, but even if it didn't destroy your deck or whatever the effect was, it was still like a, what was it, a 11-17? It would still hit you and you would die. Yeah, but this is a common refrain with us Mad Wheels, right? Is I don't necessarily advocate for things to be nerfed right away. I just call attention to stuff that will very obviously become a problem eventually. That's all. And that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, you should definitely print busted stuff because people like to draw cards and they like to play really fucking powerful cards that their opponent loses to. I'm dropping down a platform. Hopefully my rage buff reaches them. Sometimes buffs are within a certain perimeter around the caster. Sometimes they're just map wide. And I don't know which version Chronostory uses. I think they're just map wide, so that everybody in your party gets the buff no matter where they are. Because that's another thing about old school MapleStory that I'm not sure was if it was fixed in Classic World or not, where party buffs are map wide, or if they're distance based. There are some things where it's like there's actual salty complaining, which I am guilty of. I'm not even going to try to downplay it. And then there are sometimes just this is a cautionary tale that this card has potential to be really fucking strong or will eventually become broken. Twisted Fate, right? We all knew that Twisted Fate was kind of gross. And it was just eventually we got to that critical mass where his level up threat was monstrously consistent. He was always a good card, right? Where you just like, I've got red card, I've got gold card. And people were like, yeah, Twisted Fate's not really meant to level up. He has a really strong level 2, obviously, to justify how difficult he is to actually flip, but he's not really meant to. And there were a lot of champions like that, like Draven, for example. Right? Where it's like, yeah, they aren't really meant to level up, but if they do, it's great icing on the cake. And you could cheese some stuff with Whirling Death to like flip a Draven. Yes, and no one cared. Good cards aren't bad. No, I just mean that it's not that the card itself is once a problematic card hits its critical mass like that, your game becomes overly centralized around designing around that card. You end up planting too many landmines for yourself to deal with. Right? And then you get into like with Yu-Gi-Oh, where if they print a certain card, like it completely breaks a certain archetype wide open, or cards have to be worded in really, really specific lawyery ways to prevent certain interactions from happening. And it's just a lot of work for the designers and the players and the judges and stuff to parse all of these things together. And then when you are then forced to design cards in a certain way to sort of disallow various interactions, then other cards become vestigial in a way. Or we can't print support for this archetype anymore because there's this other archetype that borrows cards from it. And so you kind of, archetypes end up withering because of things like that. And it's a cycle that can't really be prevented, but with enough foresight, it can be somewhat delayed, I think is really it. Because I know that there are a lot of players who advocate, like, balancing is hard, but if you have enough people on the job and enough computational power, you theoretically could balance a game perfectly and not power creep anything, and every new card you release is good and fun and doesn't break any old cards, and that any deviation from this is theoretically just a lack of foresight, which I kind of disagree with. You have to break new ground. You know what I mean? I don't care about designers painting themselves into a corner. Secondly, that's why Yu-Gi-Oh! Uses the card names as part of balance. Yeah, I think that they've done a great job of somewhat... They've done a really good job of being able to go really specific with certain archetypes when they need to, and then use more generic qualifiers like level 4 Earth warrior monster, that type of stuff, when they intend to maybe expand that archetype further or leave open some room for people to play around with it, right? The fact you just admitted it can't be avoided literally is this whole discussion. No, the original discussion was that sometimes it's not about the balance of the game, it's about the design of the game forcing players to make really lopsided decisions when they would rather not. And then it becomes a further discussion about whether or not this is intended by the designers or if this is just a gameplay bottleneck that has arisen because of optimal play. Because you can design a game, right? You can design the game to force players to make very volatile decisions. But sometimes that's not intentional. And your as a designer, your decisions and what you add to the game is also a conversation between you and the player base. We remember Targon's Peak, right? A deck that we knew was broken. And Mad Wheels, you built the first Targon's Peak deck. We're never going to let them rewrite history. You originated that archetype. Eventually, it became good and it became meta because there was also a collective agreement by the player base that playing Targon's Peak was optimal because of the metagame at the time, right? And once that happened, the designers were forced to act. And so sometimes when the collective agreement of your players, aka what we colloquially refer to as the meta, shifts in a certain direction, it begins to incentivize certain decisions that the devs would prefer aren't being incentivized. And the article that I am touching on has this exact same mindset as well. Just like if we get confirmation that the game is going to be designed around this in the future, and maybe we can balance around it and design around this style of gameplay, then there might be something here. But sometimes the metagame shifts in such a way very violently that the game isn't really designed to account for. And that can also become very degenerate. I'm thinking, and just as like a really stretched example, that's actually like I actually like breaking cards. I don't care. Maybe that is what it is. Sometimes a card does become broken in a way that keeps the meta from ever shifting for the rest of time. Hell yeah. Damn. I should have allocated my stat points. I didn't know I was going to level up again. Level 40, baby. Max out our Axe Mastery. Equip some level 40 gear. We're upgraded now. Let's go. I was literally looking away watching videos. I don't look at cards and say, that's cool. I say, how can I break this? No, that is cool. Oh, that effect, like, there's like an itch in the back of your mind. Like, let me read this and see if it works the way I think it does. Like, we were looking at the fucking legend in Cyberpunk. Like, oh, can I choose a maxed out die and just draw a card? They say good luck. Shit. Evil eyes. Evil eyes are the orange ones. I think it's over here. Or is it further? This is fun. Finding people to grind with and help them complete their quests too. Yeah, here they are. Would you say these are orange or yellow, chat? Damn, I'm strong as fuck now. It's also fair to say that certain design spaces for archetypes of games and their own established player base also plays into this discussion pieces as well. Exactly. Because as a designer, it's a conversation between you and the player base. You know what I mean? Where you're like, oh, this design is like really sick, and sometimes players just don't vibe with it. like sometimes an archetype is good, but it's perceived as weak, and you have to like add a couple more like egregious cards to it to actually get people to pick it up. And then they were like, "Oh shit, this is actually really broken." You say these are yellow? Okay. Ooh, there's a lot up here. Hmm. Oh, they're a brawler. I thought that they were a assassin. I saw like the knucks as they were wearing. I thought it was a claw. Feels good to fight something that doesn't hit like a truck. Honestly, I am like really tanky now because I got the new helmet and my shield. My level 40 axe is a one-handed axe, so I can use a shield with it. So it really helps my tanking abilities. And these things are super low level. That's the same thing they do in League. They give 10 ability points, and then people pick up the champ, and they nerf it back to normal in the next batch. Yep. Yeah, that is true. They'll do like a smidgen of a nerf or a buff just to call attention to a champ and get people to pick it, and then re-normalize it. You have to use your balance patch in a game like League, right? Or even card games where there's a lot of options. You have to use your ability to buff and nerf stuff as a way to remind people that these things exist. And I remember the famous anecdote was that they were going to nerf, I believe it was Vladimir. There's a patch where Vladimir was like really broken and they were going to nerf him. And they posted in the patch notes that they nerfed him, but they accidentally didn't send the changes through. So everybody thought Vladimir was nerfed, but he wasn't. But his win rate still dropped. It was a very fascinating mechanical quirk. Mathematical quirk, I mean to say. Vlad should have been nuts in Runeterra. Yeah. I can't remember if he had regen where he would like heal himself, but it wasn't until like I think it was a buff where they had to make it so he would heal your Nexus, right? They didn't want to add healing to that archetype for some reason. Because if he had lifesteal, then he would have had some offensive or defensive potential. But the way he was in Runeterra, he was only good when he attacked. And there was a lot of champions like that. It was really unfortunate where it's like, oh yeah, this champion, I finally did the thing to level it up. And it's like, then you still have to potentially wait an entire another turn for the attack token to come back to you before you can make use of it. It does give your opponent perhaps a little bit more time to react, but then it also incentivizes you to open attack. So it becomes a win more situation where it's risky to develop with your level 2 champion. And that's what I mean, right? Like that's the example of a plus EV action that creates an unsatisfying outcome for the player. It's too punishing to try to greed for more threat and more value on top of what you've already accomplished. Vlad not having his play effect sooner in the life cycle of Runeterra was rough. Also, the fact that they just wouldn't buff nor create a bunch of new Crimson cards to give him a full package. That was also a really strange thing. I was wondering why they were always so afraid of Crimson cards. I wonder, was it because of like Bilgewater? Because I know we had Croaker where it would come into play in self-damage and like you would draw a card. And then there was the what was it called? I guess like the Soraka archetype, yeah, I mean, where you would have like these crusty crustacean or whatever his name was, and then like the Bloctopus. I wonder if there ever were any hidden ridiculous archetypes that we just never really played. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is that there was actually it was like a Taric Draven deck, Targon Noxus, that flew super under the radar. And based on the meta numbers, like it was super broken. It just never caught on. But we already know all about that, right, chat? Targon's Peak being the example, Lurk being another really big example of a deck that was actually broken if you looked at the numbers, but just not enough people played it. But Crimson was odd. I wonder if it was because of the 3/3, where whenever he took damage, he would create a Crimson unit in your hand. And maybe they were worried that if they added really good Crimson cards, then you would abuse that guy to just make a ton of copies of them. But at the same time, if there's a ton of Crimson units, then the odds of getting the really good ones are lower. And maybe they just didn't want to go for that level of balancing of, we'll just add a bunch of bad options to the pool to keep you from high rolling on this card too hard. And then they printed Bandle City. And honestly, maybe that's what it was. If they had sort of broken the glass on that style of design earlier in the game's life cycle, we probably would have gotten more of that idea. Because I like the idea of Crimsons being this, not just a self-damage archetype where you're hitting your own stuff so it doesn't get you a lot of value, but the concept of having them generate each other and heal each other a little bit as well. So you had longevity. And this was sort of a niche that I thought that discard aggro should lean into, because it was an aggro deck, but it actually had a lot of staying power. You know what I mean? With Rummage and Sump Worker and Urchin, you had a lot of card draw. And so you can go that extra distance. And they ended up expanding on that discard grindy archetype with Scion, if you recall, the Grey Legion. You had your discard synergies, but they would also give you extra cards to either use as discard fodder or give you that longevity. And that's one of the reasons that Revenant had to get nerfed. You had so much good longevity and just grind with that deck. It was lit. I loved the Scion era of discard, and I would return to it frequently. Draven Rumble Scion was so fucking fun. That's what I mean. Like, you give this aggressive deck the ability to play a slower, grindier metagame, and it adds so much agency and skill expression to the archetype. Because discard was always had skill expression, because the decision of what to discard and what to save just adds an extra layer of umami to the deck. You know what I mean? But nope, Unga Bunga, empty your hand, flip, jinx, and win. You don't need to think about your hand. You get to play Sump Worker and Rummage, even if you have an empty hand, just to get rid of them. Gosh. Discard felt like it also got really saturated as more cards come out. True. Oh, there is no PQ in Chronostory. Okay, that's fine. Is it through the door of dimension? Oh my god, I'm a scrub. I'm climbing the ladders and shit. Like, you got a down jump. God, why am I so bad at this game? Wanted. Dark Eye. Let's see if we can hit these. Because pirates are similar to warriors. Oh my god, I forgot these things move so fucking fast. Nope. It's not fully guaranteed. Whoa, these things drop power elixirs? Painful. Yeah. Leave me to my burden. God, these things hurt. Oh my god, my potions. Elixirs are really good because it isn't a flat number for restoration. It's based on a percentage. Jinx is level 51. Goddamn. I wonder what dagger he's looking for. Maybe a Korean fan, if I had to guess. There aren't really many coveted daggers. Dragon Toenail? I think I'm thinking of Dragon Tail. The Dragon Tail dagger is like level 110 or 120 or something like that. Dragon's Toenail is... Fuck, I don't even remember. Oh yeah, see, if I remember correctly, K-fans drop from Firebores. And K-fans are, I think they're a little bit worse than Maple Ashra. But it's like it's a level 35 dagger without a stat requirement. So you can build Dexless Bandit if you want, or like hybrid. But I think you can get them high rolled into like a really insane base weapon attack. But another point that I wanted to bring up regarding this whole discussion about how sometimes a game can over centralize itself around a certain decision point. Yeah, there's no way killing these things is efficient. God, I suck. Is glass slipper still a thing? Oh god, she wants me to fight maladies? Damn it. Oops, I'm ahead to FM. I just realized I'm leeching XP. Have fun. Oh, Nepenthe juice. Oh my god. How many of these have I managed to kill? And this is a really important thing, right? Where it's like, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, if you don't have a quest to kind of incentivize you to grind, you have to just arbitrarily find a map with good, efficient monsters that are around your level, or they have something in their drop table that you want and just go from there. Yeah, I think accuracy checks suck for melee characters like us. True. Yeah, tablecloths, alligator skin pouches. But yeah, it's cool, right? Just talking about like builds and stuff. Jinx said, fuck these boards, I'm going back to the top of the green eye things. Yeah, the green, so the yellow ones are evil eyes, the green ones are cursed eyes, the white ones are cold eyes, and these black ones are dark eyes. Curse eyes don't really have a good drop table, statistically speaking. They should actually be training in Ludi. Think you want to be in Ludi? Chronos, maybe? Have good drops. It's a little bit outside of my expertise, but I think Chronos are where you go like around 50. As a thief, I remember they dropped pilfers. I trained there with a friend of mine for a few hours once upon a time because we were trying to get pilfers. Those are level 45 thief hats. But I've been finding pilfers off of other enemies, which I'm not sure about. I'm halfway there, yeah, so we can fight these guys. I have, like, a bunch of potions, so I'm not too worried. Jake says, "Here I come, teddies." Uh, Death teddies, I think, are pretty high level. They might be able to live. But level 50, the range for the LPQ is level 35 is the minimum, and then level 50 is the maximum. And so then once you're kind of done with LPQ and you're like level 50, then you can start going into Aos Tower and Deep Looty, which is where a lot of these really good, efficient monsters with strong drop tables and meso drops all live. And then you try to grind up from there, 50 to 70, start moving over into Osiria for like Toro Macy's and stuff, Copper Drakes. This is information that I just kind of know, but I've actually never gotten a character that high enough level to go train in those maps. It was always the unattainable dream. But I think I got to... You can teleport straight there? Oh my god, they aren't playing around. That's quality of life right there. Normally you'd have to take the boat and all that. Hell yeah, I love this version. Because Ludi, I believe... I think it's 2 train rides. I can't remember if you go to Osiria first and then Ludibrium, or if it's Ludi and then Osiria. It's been so long. Because they run on a circuit. You can't, like, skip one or take a longer boat ride. It feels weird not having a ton of TCGs to bounce between, but maybe I haven't searched enough. Oh, speaking of which, Might and Magic Fates is out, right? We'll have to take a look at that. I've been sort of indisposed lately, it feels like. But maybe I'll have like a good gamer research day. I haven't even played Rabbit and Steel. Like, since the last stream, there really hasn't been a lot of office work. I'll do a couple thumbnails like early in the morning when I first wake up. And then outside of that, I haven't really been doing much of like office work. But the EUIC preview show is tomorrow, so tune in for that. I'll be heading into Seattle to film that one in the studio. And then we'll be back on it for Saturday's stream. It's only on mobile right now. The Steam drops next week. Oh, okay. Then I'll have to wait. At least I'll be able to see like some gameplay or something and even see if it's something I even want to focus on. You know what I mean? Because it might be bad. Because I know it's not like Might and Magic Duel of Champions. And there's a lot of good card games that come out, but they like take shortcuts with their art and they just use a bunch of AI slop, and I just don't really want to support those games. I asked the devs because I couldn't get Steam to work, and I was incredibly confused. Yeah, because I saw that's a weird thing to announce it, because I can't remember. I think it was a tweet that I saw that it was out. And they definitely should clarify. I wonder if it was supposed to be a simultaneous release, but maybe there was some certification that got held up on the back end, so they can only move forward with the mobile release. But I feel like it'd be easier to get certified to release on Steam easier than it would on a mobile platform. And is it a global server? Because if so, then it would be even extra hard. I missed? What the hell? Why am I missing suddenly? Or are they missing me? I doubt that's the case. What the hell? I have a 98% accuracy rate against these things? That was not enjoyable. 99 of those. Let me climb up out of here. Oh my god, that's so good. You can just use this to teleport out of a bad situation. Oh, my Jangoon armor is level 40 top. I need pants. I mean, I'd expect getting smacked for 200 doesn't feel great. It's like, and I'm a warrior, so like I've got tons of defense and armor, and like those things still hit like a truck. Let me check my equipment, because this gives me strength +7, a bunch of weapon defense, and a bunch of magic defense. This gives me 45 weapon defense, some MP, and 3 strength. So I would need to find pants that give me 4 strength to make switching over off of this Crusader chainmail worth it. And like that Popsicle was saying, you can just buy overall scrolls for accuracy. And probably just hold this equipped for a long-ass time. The strength +7 is dope. But yeah, let's empty our inventory here. What's great, too, is that if you have low-rolled equipment that doesn't have good stats on it, it still has, like, a base value. It doesn't affect the value of selling it to an NPC, only the value of selling it to another player, so you still make really good money. I've seen gameplay. You'll like it, Scar. It has stuff from games you already like. Ooh, that's exciting. Knuckle vest pants are thief pants. We'll put these in storage. If I ever do end up making a bandit here in Chronostory. And you can just see by the little colored triangle in the top left corner. I think I do need some warrior gloves, so I'm going to keep these, even though the stats are really bad. Yellow umbrella. Bad stats on it. Oh, this is an axe? Ooh, hang on a second. 57. I think my blue counter is better. 57, yeah. My blue counter is better. Good to know. Because it's at 59. Not bad, though. I was like, that's an axe? Well, I'll be. I have it on my phone. I haven't started because I want to link Steam to my phone. Yeah. I definitely hear you there. So let me check my equipment here that I got from the gacha. I have a level 50 axe. I guess I'll pull that out right now. Put this mock bee away. Jangoon armor. I don't think it's going to be possible for me to find a better overall. Unless I high roll some pants. I guess we'll see. So, yeah, let's just keep doing quests. So, we need to get a diamond. And we need to go to Kerning to accept Icarus's new quest. So we'll use a Kerning scroll. I'll have to figure out how the auction house works in this game. We'll accept the Icarus quest. 100 tablecloths and 10 alligator skin pouches. And the alligator skin pouches are a rare drop from the ligators, which are found in the swamp. Is there any other quests I can grab from here? Jane is in Lith Harbor. You have a quest, and I need to give you the diamond. But while we're here, can JM from the streets make diamonds? No, he only makes work gloves. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't realize I had that many leathers in my, Well, honestly, let's fucking do it, chat. Let's scroll. Let's scroll these gloves. I got that GFA in my inventory. Let's fucking go. Where is it? Gun for... Oh, here it is. Scroll for gloves for attack, 60%. 60% is guaranteed. Aww. The gloves are not guaranteed, chat. 100,000 million down the drain. Oh my god. Oh, that's terrible. That feels bad. Anywho, we're trying to high roll. So yeah, let's go to... I guess we have to go to Perion. I think Mr. Thunder can make jewels. Cast my nimble feet. I guess I can use my gotcha tickets here as well in the Perion Gachapon for warrior equipment. See if I can get a good pair of pants. Refine a jewel. Diamond. I want 1 diamond. And then we can do that to complete the quest. Great blue helmet. Shit. Orichalcin camel boots. Man, these are kind of bad, huh? Adamantium tower shield. It's a level 40 shield that gives me 1 dex. I still think that's better than my current shield. Oh yeah, that's just all I had laying around, a level 15 shield. Gold Nordic helm. Maybe I need to use the gotcha at a different place. I was high rolling like some level 70 and 80 gear off of this. I wonder if it was edited. I guess I can just sell these though. Got a new shield out of it. That's pretty cool. We have the diamond, so now we can go to Alinea. And we have to talk to Wing. So we have to give the diamond to Wing to get milk for Ronnie. And then we accept the quest. You don't have enough inventory space? I don't? Oh my god. I keep forgetting. Is it my etc. tab? Oh yeah, my etc. tab is full. I guess I don't need... I have 19 Black Bull's deed to the land. That's a quest item. I'll keep it for now. You don't need the squishy liquid. I still don't have enough inventory space. What the heck? She gonna give me 2 items? Tears of Kelvalos. We have to take it to Creel. Oh, I have to give the diamond to Rowan, not Wing. Wing is this fairy over here. Rowan is the redhead one that's over here on the left of the city. Ooh, another thing. No. Okay. They don't show a picture of the NPC. In MapleStory, you have to just know where the NPCs are. I think she's in the bottom left. Let me expand the map. These green ovals indicate where the NPCs are. There's Francois. Let me talk to Francois. I think he also makes stuff. I guess not. I think he's supposed to. There's Arwen. Fuck. Where's Rowan? Is she in the bottom left? I know she has, like, orange hair and a blue-green dress. I know that she's not indoors. Owen. I think it's because I scrolled here. I appear like in the middle of the map, but I think you see her if you walk in. There's Dr. Betty. Oh my god. Where's Rowan the Fairy? That's Wing. Am I tripping? Is she? I don't know, chat. This is the Maple struggle. If you don't know where NPCs are, you are going to have to search. It has that kind of old school RPG feel to it that way. Right? And there's Rowan. There you are. Jesus. Okay. I do have a diamond. Right? Did he screw me over out of getting my diamond? Huh? Did Mr. Thunder scam me? What the fuck? I have 35 diamond ore. I think maybe my inventory was full, so he couldn't actually hand it over. Wow. That's embarrassing. Well, let me frickin' sell some of this stuff out of my inventory anyway, so I'll go back to Perion. And like I said, I think Francois is able to refine minerals for you, but I can't recall. But I'll go into the general store over here. Can I make that jump? No. Okay, that's not a real platform. I'm gonna empty some stuff out of my inventory first. Some of the stuff you like to keep because it is needed for certain quests, and going out of your way to grind them back up again is mad annoying. Yo, we got the follow from Zhao. Welcome in. Welcome to the Knighthood. Appreciate you. Sell these axes, the Crimson Sturge wings. Anything else? I think you can pay to increase your inventory size as well. Get rid of these pig ribbons. And you know what? These damn tree branches too. Screw it. Okay, so we'll talk to Mr. Thunder. Give me a jewel, a diamond. I want 1 diamond, please. There we go. Yeah, that's what it was. My inventory was full, so the transaction didn't actually complete. Oh, I need to sell these stupid potions that I don't need as well. I'll keep the dexterity potions, avoid abilities, whatever. Speed potion's tight. We don't need wizard potion. I'll just get rid of the green apples too. Ton of wonky scrolls too. Another cool thing about Chronostory they added is that you can exchange scrolls for scroll vouchers and then use the scroll vouchers to get the scrolls you actually want. Because that's a big problem in MapleStory is that you'll get a scroll drop from an enemy and it's like one-handed axe for attack. Actually, this is perfect for our blue counter. Let's use these. We have 2 of them. 10% scroll. Oh god. 10% scroll. Oh, fuck. Okay. I'm not allowed to use scrolls. That's 2 one-handed axe scrolls down and glove for attack scroll. Unlucky. Anyway, let's check in here and see what the pants situation is looking like. I don't think they go up beyond level 30. Yeah, we have to go to Ludi for the next set of equipment. Which is another strange thing. In old school MapleStory, because Ludi and Osiria don't exist, all of your high-level equipment has to be crafted by NPCs or dropped from monsters. So even getting high-level equipment is a big achievement in old school Maple that they'll probably have to keep when Classic World comes out. What was I doing? Oh yeah, Alinea. Ooh, that's helpful. So I can drop down to Rowan to give her the diamond. And then she gives us the milk for the Unagi special. The fresh milk is ready. All right. Rena also needs 5 pig heads and 50 Cursai tails. We have Cursai tails already. Yeah, these are the green ones, the Cursai tails. Oh, we have the pig heads too, right? Oh, thank God. Like I was saying earlier, pig's heads are normally giga rare for no reason, but thankfully, we still have a bunch of them from just arbitrarily killing pigs from earlier quests. Rena is in Henesis. If I recall. While I'm here in Alinea, I'm going to buy more Alinea return scrolls. And I'm just going to buy more potions. Always buy your blue potions in Alinea. They are 192 mesos as opposed to 200 mesos. So for the thousands and thousands of potions you're going to buy and use, you just save so much money that way. Okay, so let's go to Henny. I believe Rena lives here. While I'm running all around and turning in stuff for this quest, I'm going to use another Sugar Rush candy. And where is Rena again? Wait. No, I think Rena's in Parion. Yeah, hang on. I think she's in Parion. I think she's the NPC with the apron in the general store. Aw, damn. Even with the candy, I can't make that jump. No, it's Sophia. Damn it. Where's Rena? Gotta make the Unagi special. Rena. Let me look it up. I'm trying to remember where Rena is. Story NPC Rena. It's not ringing a bell. Yeah, she is in Anessus, but where is she? Rena's house. They probably told me that at some point, and I just wasn't paying attention. Oh, here you are. I remembered the apron for some reason, but I just confused her with a different NPC. Ronnie wants the Unagi special. We have the Lupin's bananas as well to give to Ronnie. And Ronnie is in the tree outside of Alinea. I think he's past Alinea. I think he's in... Not in this map, but the next one. This map is the tree that grew. You just spam the portals over here on the left side, and it goes all the way to the top. and then you drop down into Sleepy Wood from the tree that grew. I believe Ronnie is on this map somewhere. And that's one thing about MapleStory, like just keeping track of all the weird stranded maps where the NPCs reside. He's in a map like, oh yeah, he is in this tree. Nice. Thank you, Brain. Yo, what's up, Ronnie? I got your stuff. You starving child, you. All right. And so then he gives us the secret book, and we return the secret book back to Mr. Wetbottom in Sleepywood. And he's in the VIP sauna, from what I remember. Oh, that's right. We killed the 99 Dark Eyes. I never turned that in. And now he's giving me Unagi and Pure Water, because those are like the next tier of mana and HP restoration items. I think it's VIP sauna to talk to him. Yep, secret book. Blue sauna robe. Beautiful. And this is the infamous blue sauna robe. It's no stat requirement, no class requirement, 10 scroll slots. And this is a cornerstone of the MapleStory economy for all the Dexless Sins and Luckless Clerics. You get the overall for Dex scrolls, and you try to hit as many of them as you can. You can sell the clean roll. The clean robe is, oh god, and this is from like, 10, 15 years ago. I think a clean robe was like 2.5 mil. So, like, if you're a noob, right? Like, if you're not funded, if you're just getting by, there are certain quests that give you a guaranteed gloves for attack 60, which is like 6 or 8 mil. And then you get a guaranteed sauna robe for doing the quest. And then you can flip that for like another like 3 mil. And it's a great way to basically bankroll these middle levels where you aren't necessarily making a lot of money for yourself. A lot of your income is going to come from these specific quest items that you sell to other players. In Chronostory, like, I have 6 million right now. This is incredibly unrealistic because you get so many equipment drops to sell to NPCs. Generally speaking, you would be, I would honestly say, like, high 700,000, maybe. Probably not. Just because of the amount of potions and stuff that I've bought, definitely not. I haven't actually had to buy any equipments from the shop, which really eats into your income in old school MapleStory. So that's going to be another factor they might shift in Classic World is, like I was saying, equip drops. I think it's great. They don't necessarily have to adjust experience or the amount of mesos that a monster drops, but increasing the frequency that they drop equipment allows players to trade the good equips amongst themselves so that they can tax those trade transactions and take mesos out of the economy. Allows newer players to fund themselves by having more reliably valuable stuff to sell, and you save mesos by not needing to buy the equipment from NPCs. So we got that. So this quest takes us to Orbis to deliver this. Icarus in the balloon. We can do this in Kerning. So, tablecloths are wraiths. So we go into the subway is this way. There are junior wraiths, and then there's the full-grown wraiths. Back in the day, you used to actually have to pay to go into the subway. I think it was like 300 mesos or something. Oh, wait. We gotta assign our skill points. Your HP value is determined by how much strength you have when you level up. So now that we have maxed Axe Mastery and we have 7 points in rage, so it actually lasts quite a long time. We have 6 skill points to maybe put into Fatal Strike. This was a big change they made from Chronostory. Normally, this is Final Attack, where it's an extra attack that happens on top of your skill, but this one replaces it outright with a certain percentage chance, but also gives you extra range on your attacks, which is great. So I might take Fatal Strike. I don't think I really get that much value out of Axe Booster, if I'm honest. But on a really dense map with Booster, it also allows you to spam your skills really hard. That's a really good question. If Booster or Fatal Strike is just better. Because this is just a flat damage multiplier. The skill also increases the base damage and range of Power Strike and Slash Blast. I think I'm supposed to just take Fatal Strike. I don't think the Booster is worth it. But these are bubblings. These blue slimes. They're actually really decent to train on, like mid-level. And this is one of the maps where bubblings don't have quests. They only have like 1 or 2 quests that I recall that are actually tied to hunting them. And they only have... They have a pretty mediocre drop table as well, but in terms of HP to XP ratio, they're pretty efficient. And they have that really densely populated subway map. So we skip over the bubblings, over the Crimson Sturges. I think we hit Junior Wraiths and then Wraiths. There's a really big chance that Wraiths are going to be untrainable. Yeah, these are Junior Wraiths. Oh, Junior Wraiths drop tablecloths. Okay, that's helpful. I was going to say, Wraiths are where Clerics train because they're undead monsters. And your heal becomes just an AoE super, super spammable spell against undead monsters when you're a Cleric. And so, Wraiths are... It's impossible to find a place to actually train on those maps because all the Clerics just AoE them down. And you can't truly divvy up the map because their ability to kill those monsters is so high that they don't confine themselves to just one section the way some other characters might. And you can see these Wraiths are a little bit too spread out, but we'll manage. We got to find 100 tablecloths. The little pop-up quest reminder is good too. This is a feature that didn't always exist, so you'd have to constantly open up your inventory and check how many tablecloths you've gotten. And I haven't seen any confirmation. The only quote-unquote quality of life features that we know about in Classic World is essentially just down jumping. But like they keep in claw punching and bow whacking. In those when you're playing those ranged classes, if a monster comes into like too close of a melee range, you don't get your normal ranged attack. You just do like a weird super low powered melee attack instead, and it incentivizes you to move as you attack or to find safe platforms to snipe the monsters from. Right? Like assassins and archers are supposed to be a little bit worse on densely populated maps because of that mechanic. And there are some maps, like Fireboars, I think is a great example of a monster that also moves really, really fast. I got a little spoiled hunting all those curse eyes and everything, because those were very densely populated, and they move quickly. But these, you can tell, are very spread out, so that they're a bit more palatable for a ranged character to train here. And also, the increased drop rate helps these quests a lot. Essentially, every monster is guaranteed to drop the tablecloth. And back in old school MapleStory, there was only certain drops, I think, that were actually guaranteed like that. I think Mesos are always guaranteed, but the unique drop item of a monster wouldn't always drop with each one you killed. So even though the quest says you need to get 100 tablecloths, you might end up having to kill 150 or 200 of these junior wraiths. And those are like small quality of life things that people don't really think about, but changing the drop rates on things could be very helpful. And also just let you get more Mesos. You complete quests faster, and you get more Mesos, which I think is great. And you got to remember, too, sometimes it can be disappointing if, say, a monster drops a potion. But when a monster drops a potion, that's essentially a dagger attack 60. Goodness. It's a good scroll. That's essentially them dropping like a couple hundred extra Mesos. That strike I just did, that sort of backhand, is the final attack. The fatal strike activating. I do like the concept as well as having the skill increase the range. So there's maybe less of a disparity between one-handed weapons and two-handed weapons, or other weapon types versus spears and polearms. Oh, wow, I gotta remember to keep my rage up. With rage, I can actually one-shot these a little bit more reliably. Oh, wait, I've got my tablecloths already. I gotta find a better cape. Once you're done with all the Icarus quests, it's like a quest line of 3 or 4 quests, if I'm not mistaken. Icarus, his dream is to fly. Like, you know, the classic legend. Well, not quite like it, but Icarus. You get the idea. And he devises like a bunch of different ways to, oh, if I build this thing, I can fly. If I do that, I can fly. And they end up like not working. This one is his idea to build a hot air balloon. So he uses the tablecloths to make the balloon, and then the ligator skin pouches he uses to make ballast for the hot air balloon. And I think there's one more quest after that one. But this middle one here leads to the swamp. And the swamp, you aren't going to be able to train here. I'm just going to tell you straight up. The swamp gatekeeps you really hard. There's an enemy that appears here called Junior Neckies. Those are snakes. And they have monstrous levels of avoidability. These ligator skin pouches are normally like pig's heads, by the way, where they're super rare. You have to kill like 100 or 200, I think, of these ligators to actually find 10 of them. But it looks like I only need to kill 10. Jesus. That's a little disappointing. I don't think these were tradable either. Yeah, they're untradeable. So even if you were able to find a ton of them, you couldn't like sell them to this snake right here is the Junior Necky. Even though they're level 20 monsters, they're like nearly impossible to hit until you like are twice their level. Especially as a warrior. Okay. So what's next? Collecting 100 cursed dolls. Cursed dolls come from zombie lupins. Jane wants Maladies, Experimental Frog, and Medicine with Weird Vibes, which are also maladies. They're like witches that fly in a linea. And then Assyria is like a fairy cloud, kingdom in the sky sort of biome. And then Ludus Lake is Ludibrium, where the famous LPQ is, and it's very like Toyland themed. There's like big Lego towers and clockwork soldiers, and all the enemies are like wind-up toys or corrupted versions of wind-up toys. And once you get to like level 40-ish, like I am right now, level 35, level 40, you start to get quests to go there and then start to do those quests and clear things out. Oh, they added Omega Sector? That's crazy. Oh, that's good. Overall armor for Dex. They aren't playing around. Sell that for a few mil for sure. So I guess we'll figure out where maladies are. I know what you're thinking. Maladies nuts. I know. Just get out of your system now, chat. We also have to we have to deliver the tiers of Kelvalos to Assyria eventually, but I don't mind taking my time and doing some more of these Victoria Island quests. So Jane is in Lith Harbor. So let's use a Lith Harbor scroll and talk to Jane, because she might be able to tell us which map the maladies are found on, because I haven't actually found them yet. You're the one who helped me the other day. You have time. I gave up my dream of being a traveler. I decided on another dream. My dream is to be an alchemist. Yeah, she just says maladies, experimental frog, and medicine with the weird vibes. I know that maladies are near Alinea. I just don't know which map it is. It's got to be in the tree dungeon somewhere. But I'm level 41, and this is also the level range where you would just be spamming LPQ as much as possible. Open this map. Because this is the tree that grew. Yeah, which leads to Sleepywood. And then this is the tree dungeon up north. The way this map typically would work is... Oops. Interesting. I think this game makes it so that you can actually interact with portals while you're midair and touching them. Typically, you're only allowed to use a portal if you're standing neutrally directly in front of it. Aw, that's cute. They're making friends. I can't make that jump? Oh my god. I want to save my Sugar Rush candies. I guess the idea is to go inside the tree and climb up inside the tree, which I think is a little bit better. I'm just kind of getting the lay of the land. Yeah, let's go inside the dungeon over here and then just climb up that way. I feel like this is shorter, though. I don't know. But I feel like I'm misremembering. You see how this rope kind of extends up into the sky? You could keep climbing all the way up and up and up, and it eventually results in you reaching a new map. And that new map is where the maladies would be, if I remember correctly. There's a magician job instructor. Can I go in here and then climb up? I think this is the tree that has just those fairies in it. Yeah. Damn. Where do you find maladies? I must be misremembering. Because the thing about maladies is, like, even if you're in this level range to accept the quest, they aren't necessarily... You're not actually able to hit them unless you're a ranged character, because they fly. They're free-flying enemies the way Sturges are. I must be remembering incorrectly. Maple Story malady map. Forest of Evil Energy. I don't think that's a map on the world map. Top of the tree that grew. Yeah. Forest of Wisdom. I think it's a hidden street. I might be misremembering. I think that they might be in the swamp. No, yeah, no, you get there from Monkey Forest too. Which is a hidden street. Forest of Evil. I think it is in the... Evil entrance. This is what we used to do back in the day too. There is a lot of stuff in MapleStory, like where this monster is, what does this monster even look like. What monster drops what item. It must be in the swamp. I feel like it's supposed to be in Alinea, but it might just be because of the trees. Let me try going through the swamp. I'll use another candy, I think. You can see like how the movement speed in MapleStory is like really annoying sometimes as well. That NPC that's standing next to the sewer, as well as the entrance to Kerning Party Quest, which is also going to be really important to get to level 30. I believe it's level 20 is the minimum, and then level 30 or level 31 is the maximum. I think inside one of these huts, there's a secret portal. I think in one of these maps, there's like a vine that you can climb up to get to a hidden street, a secret map. That's what hidden streets are in MapleStory, are like secret maps that you kind of, it's like an if you know kind of thing. And there's like really famous ones, like Pig Beach is a hidden street. And these are just solid spots to grind. Generally, that's the appeal. Isn't that there's... Yeah, what's this map called? Warning Street, Dangerous Croco. Escape says shit game. Oh, you're not a Chronostory fan? I'm kind of just vibing in preparation for Classic World. I know there's a lot of jaded players. These are level 52. My God, where am I? I've heard some really bad things about modern MapleStory for sure, Escape. That's like a map boss. You can try to fight it, but probably wouldn't work. I think you eventually use this one for a quest. Where is the Forest of Evil Energy? This is Dangerous Croco 2, and then the next map just leads me to Sleepywood. So maybe it isn't in the swamp. Do you know where Maladies are? Escape? There's some lupins on this map. I feel like one of these vines is like supposed to be a portal. Sheesh. Might be outdated knowledge. Not every single map is going to be programmed in, of course. And then once you're in Sleepywood, there's not really much you can do. There's the Sleepy Dungeon, the Ant Tunnel. Hunting ground in the deep forest. Yeah. Good talk. I know, right? Trying to think. It's got to be an Alinea then. Let me see if I can do a little bit more digging. It tells you like the layout of the map and like what enemies are on that map, but it doesn't tell you how to get there. It says this map is part of Alinea, so that does narrow it down. We knew that much. Chimney Tree Top. I think it is on the map the tree that grew, and then it branches off into a new map. Because I was under the impression that the tree that grew only led to Sleepywood, but I might be mistaken. I was just seeing if there's any more portals at the very top of that map. So let's have a look. Eh? And this is, I think, Moth lives over here. One of the El Moth. He's like a scroll merchant. Yeah. Yeah, top of the tree that grew. And these like flat platforms are decent training spots. A lot of maps I think that we normally don't really pay attention to are going to become very valuable in Classic World launch just because it's going to be so crowded. If you're able to find a somewhat decent map and hold it to yourself, it'll probably pay dividends. That just leads to Perion. Jesus. It wouldn't make sense for them to program in this quest line if they haven't created this map yet. North Forest, Tree Trunk Nest. Where the forest ends. Chimney Tree Top. Chimney Tree. Chimney Tree. I wonder if this is post Big Bang map layouts, and that's why I can't find it. And Chronostory might be working off of pre Big Bang map layouts. Because Chimney Tree looks like the tree that grew. This is the forest north of Alinea, Tree Dungeon, the forest up north, 2. We can go up or down here. These maps inside the trees are going to be quite good as well in Classic World because they added down jumping, which makes these vertical maps pretty stellar. The tree tunnel at the forest up north. There's Ronnie again. It's just so funny, right? Because I'm not ashamed to admit that I've never trained at Maladies. Once you get into this level range, it's just kind of all about LPQ. So all of these quests that are like, oh yeah, go track down this really obscure monster and fight it, and it's a pain in the ass, and they hit like a truck. You're just like, no, thank you. Oh my god. I'm trying to press up to climb the rope, but it's making me interact with the portal instead. First forest polluted tree. Because I don't think they added those. Malady is after the monkey map. Yeah, but I haven't been able to find the monkey map. Did they add it into Chronostory, Kisotic? How do you actually pronounce that word? Because I know it's based on Don Quixote. Is it Quixotic? I've never actually heard that word said out loud. Because I remember, isn't the Lupin Forest like in this vicinity? Am I like dying? Am I tripping? I thought you just kind of kept climbing up this way. It's not in the forest up north? Am I supposed to branch off south? That wouldn't make sense. All the noobs would fly into the monkey forest and die, right? I remember finding the map when I was younger and then immediately leaving because the monsters were too strong. I'm like trying to look it up, but it's hard to find information about really, really old Maple maps. At least one that's actually laid out in a proper way. Don't you have to go, like, down? Maybe that's why. Is I'm thinking too much like I have to climb up, but I think you have to go down. It is south of Alinea? Wow. Okay. I guess that's why. I, for some reason, was so zeroed in on it being north. It is south. That's unbelievable to me. I guess it's for the best. Let the noobs learn early. Yeah, it's like down here. The Forest of Wisdom. I think you jump across to this one, yeah? No. We'll figure it out. That ain't it. This does look familiar. Here's some lupins. Hidden street downstairs at the forest. In Chronostory, you kind of have to wait a few seconds for monsters to populate on the map. Yeah, this is all lupins. It's to the top of the Forest of Wisdom. Thank you. I wonder how many of these maps are going to be intact for Classic World. Damn it. There's Monkey Forest 1. Monkey Forest 2. Monkey Forest 2 is zombie lupins, which I think actually need the cursed dolls, so I can grind them here. I don't have the quest accepted yet, but I can just get the items ahead of time. The good news is that I can hit these. They still sting, though. Let's kill the maladies first, though. Really appreciate you, homie. And then this is the Forest of Evil. We have to find Malady's weird frog and Malady's vibes medicine. I can hit them. They're tanky as all get out, but I can't hit them. And this is why nobody trains here, by the way. Okay, it's not a 100%. I think Chronostory uses the newer calculation where your accuracy is based on the level difference between you and the monster you're trying to hit. They're actually really densely populated, which is nice, so I can slash blast them. We need 20 experimental frogs and... This actually isn't too bad. They are grouping up nicely. They don't seem to be flying around too randomly. It'd be better if we had more accuracy, but yeah, maybe we fight the zombie lupins. Maybe we can get a level or two. This is one of those levels, one of these quests I can accept, but I'm not actually supposed to do right away, which MapleStory does a lot of, right? Now I'm here, I'm kind of committed, because I only need 20 of these. And then the rest of the quest is medicine with weird vibes. Is there like a higher level malady enemy that drops the weird vibes? Those ones I probably won't be able to fucking touch at all. This ironically would be a pretty good training spot, it looks like. The way these keep really, really tightly grouping for my slash blast. But yeah, I'll just get my frogs now, and then we'll get the curse stalls from the zombie lupins. We'll come back later when we've got some more levels on us. I'll go to the next map to see what level those witches are, so I have a better idea of what level I need to be when I return back here. Medicine with the weird vibes is from Wraiths and Kerning. Really? Okay. Well, let's get the hell out of here. And go fight the zombie lupins. This is where my, like, old Maple knowledge starts to fail me once we get into, like, this level range. Because I was always one of those, like, mid-level scrubs back in the day. I get to, like, level 36-ish, and then I just couldn't hack it anymore because I could never make it into LPQ consistently enough to break through that wall and get to, like, level 50. You know what I mean? But this level range is generally, like, the big filter, in my opinion, for MapleStory. Like, if you make it to level 50, then I think that you're kind of... You've passed the test. And you have what it takes. It doesn't mean that making it to level 70 is going to be any better, but you've certainly proven that you've had what it takes. If we go into... Because that's the monk. This is Monkey... There it is. I was going to say, there should be like a platform that's all zombie lupins. Chrono's weird with quests. It's super fast, up to 50 because of 999 quests. That is true. Yeah, the Sabbat Trauma quests. And I was actually partying with a couple people earlier today, to finish up those quests. And with all three of us working together, we completed it super quick. But yeah, the triple quest experience is really nutty. I definitely agree. They intentionally set you up, right, to get the potions from those quests too, so you can move on to the higher level areas pretty cleanly. And of course, I don't want like such a ridiculous experience rate for Classic World, but I do appreciate the increased drop rate. I think that is something that they could get away with doing that would be beneficial. I know it kind of goes against perhaps the spirit of old school MapleStory, because getting a drop is supposed to be super rare and really meaningful. But with so many people playing, like there's going to be tons of weapons and stuff on the market regardless. Just makes it easier for everybody to get a good cushion of Mesos when they start, and they don't all have to play clerics. You know what I mean? I've been telling my chat that if you want to make Mesos effectively as a new MapleStory player, you're supposed to make a cleric first, and then you use all of the money from playing a cleric to bankroll the rest of your account. And so if you make drops more plentiful, then classes that train in non-undead maps have a better source of income. And the other justification I had for that was the fact that with players trading and selling equipment to one another, it bleeds more Mesos out of the economy when the system taxes you. You know, like when you sell something for a certain amount, it takes a percentage that just goes poof. I think that's actually super important to keep removing Mesos from the economy, because MapleStory players are actually really insane when it comes to how efficiently we grind and make money. And honestly, how much Mesos drop from monsters and some of the really broken maps that exist, especially in old school MapleStory. We need more Meso sinks in Classic, though. I agree. That's what I mean. And so trading with players is a great Meso sync that doesn't feel like one. I know players are going to do the thing where they just break the transaction up into smaller chunks in order to avoid getting taxed. But a lot of players aren't really going to care, especially if it's a really expensive item. You don't want to sit there and do 30 separate transactions just to save a few 100k Mesos, which in late game is like next to nothing. You know what I mean? That's just the cost of doing business. And that's why they really need to make sure they keep the paying to travel between like Ludibrium and stuff, which won't exist in Classic World, but even in Final Fantasy XIV, you know, they have Meso sinks where you fast travel with the crystals, and when you die, you have to pay to repair your equipment. Chrono has a Meso sync now on re-rolling the 107 weapon stats. Oh, cool. Something like that would be dope. Making scrolls readily available. Another thing, too, is it's going to be hard to make a Meso sync because, like, I don't know how NX trading is going to work in Classic World. If you could have somebody sell, you know, if you're able to trade NX items for Mesos, or if you have to use Scissors of Karma on them first to unbind them from your account and then trade them. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they have it to where there was like the baby Scissors of Karma where it was for one-time trades? And then they had like the Giga Scissors of Karma where it completely opened up the item to be freely traded for the rest of time. And that's it's a tax for sure in terms of money. where if you're trying to buy NX or gift items to your friends or another person, you don't want players to just be trading the same NX items amongst each other for the rest of time either. And so you kind of put an NX tax on top of that with the Scissors of Karma. I know a lot of players are also advocating for things like the Owl of Minerva to be able to be purchased with Mesos. And that's another really big sink that would help. Because in the late game, you know what I mean? Like, scouring the shop for scrolls or clean equipment that you're looking for and using the owls to do so, would that actually drive up prices? Because it technically makes everything more expensive when you have to pay to be able to search properly, or if you aren't using like a third-party website or a Discord server where you're hooking up the deals manually. And that's what a lot of players would do anyway, I suppose. There's also, I don't know if you've heard about this idea as well, where, you know, they're getting rid of HP washing, and part of that process is going to just be simply recalculating the damage ratios that bosses deal. But they also have to recalculate how much HP classes earn in their leveling curve. And another idea that players had to add a Meso sync to that is to make some sort of really, really expensive potion that permanently gives your character, you know what I mean? Like, you can only get it when you have a certain level, you know what I mean? It's like level 50 or level 60 or level 70 is the minimum to even use the potion. But you have to spend like X mil on it in order to get this HP boosting potion. And so you have to save up and buy, you know, like 5 or 10 of those as a way to also bleed it out of the economy. Or if they're like a potion you have to craft so that the ingredients for that potion become something that players can grind for and also sell to each other. That's maybe even a better way to do it. And then that way noobs can farm those ingredients and sell them to the higher level endgame players that don't want to grind for them. And you say, well, I've got so much Mesos that I'll just buy the ingredients from lower level players. Like Onyx apples, I think were another big thing that players would grind and sell to each other. I stopped around the time Horntail came out, so I don't know much of the newer systems. Yeah, I stopped a little bit like after Big Bang. I would usually get a character to like 30 something, do a few LPQs, and then it was just kind of too much. Because all the quests in Ludi were kind of ass, you know what I mean? I was always ending up in that weird dead zone, you know, where you're like level 36. You can LPQ, but everything else is a little bit too outside of your level range to train on efficiently. That's when you're also looking to get more expensive equipment. So I just got filtered. I really think that Sleepy Hollow, the new Forgotten Hollow map that they're adding to Classic World, is probably going to have a PQ added to it. They need something to kind of fill that gap, in my opinion, of KPQ to LPQ. So many of us are just going to be over level 50 by the time they patch in Ludi, and we'll never get to LPQ anyway. And then you miss out on the broken glasses because you're out of the level range. Maybe it doesn't matter. The crafting idea does sound good for the economy, for sure. And there's like some kind of sort of NPC that you have to like pay to craft it for you, like Jam from the Streets. Untradeable potion. Because because if I remember correctly, you could always HP wash up to the HP cap. It's just that there's a certain minimum that you have to meet so bosses don't one-shot you. And so for like warriors and stuff, you don't necessarily need to invest in that system as much. But for other classes, like thieves and mages, they kind of get taxed. You know what I mean? Like, because they have to do that. But I think that everybody would necessarily want to cap out their HP. Definitely something to think about. I have to also work on my muscle memory to keep my rage up. Wait, how many dolls do I actually have? Curse dolls. 148, yeah. Okay, so we've got the curse dolls, so we can get out of here. Because we want to talk to Rowan again, I think. Yeah. All right. Let's go nearest town. Reminds me of all the materials you needed for the Summoning Rock quest line. Oh, yeah. And Summoning Rocks don't become relevant until they add third job. Correct? I feel like it's been confirmed that Classic World we aren't going to have third job. The Cursed Doll quest repeats up to 2K if I remember correctly. Ooh, damn. Chronostory is funny like that, where they incentivize you to train at really good maps regardless. But with the population, it's not like super crowded. Oh, yeah, I was like, I can never remember where Rowan the Fairy is. Collecting 200 cursed dolls. Oh, and then this is also a nice like way to grind and get scroll vouchers and start high-level scrolling your equipment. That's tight. Their drops are whack, though. Yeah, the XP is not that good. I was just doing it for the sake of doing it, but yeah. I do want to do the Dark Eyes, but they were beating my ass. I'm not strong enough for Dark Eyes. I can knock out maybe some of these Osiria and Ludi quests, though. Just for completion's sake. Where's this lead? Oh, shortcut. Well, actually, we can get the medicine with the weird vibe from Wraiths. There's still some quests that we can do. So thank you for that tip as well. And we'll turn that into Jane. I'll have to look up some of the Chronostory changes as well. Because I do like the way they changed Warrior, like the final attack change, where it's just kind of a flat buff that overlays on top, rather than being an additional animation you're locked into. For Classic World, they fixed it so that it's like an extra, what's the word? It's almost like a token that you accumulate and then cash in to cast the final attack whenever you want to. But it only has a 25% chance to proc at max level, so you don't get the attack boost consistently enough. So I don't know if they'll increase the percentage chance to actually get those. uses, or maybe they'll change the amount that you can keep stacked up at once. Getting Dark Eyes Party is easiest because at 45 you get Drake's 999. Oh, there's a Copper Drake quest? Okay. I've actually never trained on those. There you are. Oh, wait, let me put my buffs on. Come back here. Why are you so fast? Stop ignoring me. Gosh. I'm so spoiled now by playing a fighter. When I go back to playing a bandit, I'm going to be sobbing. Ooh, these are a little bit out of my range. Okay. I only need 30 medicine, so it's not the end of the world. I'll be able to manage. I'm accurate. I have enough accuracy. I think I'm a little bit overdexed for my level, which does help. But my mastery is maxed, so that's good. And I probably should get like some overall scrolls or helmet scrolls for accuracy or something. Just to kind of help out in this level range. It seems a bit grim. And we'll have to see if the closed online test allows them to get some more feedback. Because all of the demos, you know, you start out at level 50 and all your skills are maxed and yada yada. Bandit's a bit slow, but they get great buffs in third job. That's the thing, too. I've seen a couple MapleStory YouTubers talk about how they would really want some information about potential third job changes. So that way you don't commit to a class or a character that you might not even end up wanting to play in third job. My biggest problem with playing a bandit is that you class change and you get Savage Blow, but Savage Blow isn't better than Double Stab until you're like about level 43-ish. So you're double stabbing stuff for an eternity. And it feels super bad. Every second job is like that, though, for the most part. Because you spend like the first 5 or 6 levels maxing your mastery to get your accuracy up and fix your crazy wonky damage range. And you don't get any new toys, it feels like. I need space in my inventory. Oh, my etc. items, that's what it is. I have 19 Black Bull's D to the land. Where do we turn in the Mardi Gras beads? Maybe in the Omega Sector hub thing? A Mushmom Spore, Drake's Blood, 100 Medicine, and 30 Maladies. Free market. Cool. What the hell? It says free market. Don't lie to me. Game. Oh, this is the free market. Marty and Gras. We have a bunch of cool trinkets. At least 10 beads. Does it matter? Oh, Mardi Gras feathers. I've only found Mardi Gras beads, not feathers. You found some? I'll exchange 10 bead necklace for 1 random reward. Oh, I see. If you get Mardi Gras feathers, then you give them to the sister. You do not have enough space in your inventory. Hang on. Can I pay to increase my inventory? One of these NPCs, I think, does it for you. 4 million Mesos? My god. That's another great money sink. The rates are terrible on those. Oh, yeah. What do the doubloons do? Red feather 1%? My god. Throughout my journey today, I just so happened to get 17 beads. I guess I don't need these stupid skin things anymore. All right, let's see what we get. I've been really unlucky today. I failed 3 scrolls already. All right, we got the doubloon. Mardi Gras coin made of chocolate. This will fatten you up. It gives you 500 weapon defense and 500 magic defense. So she only gives you Mardi Gras feathers. Or I can exchange your feathers for Mardi Gras doubloons. So we have to put beads to get feathers, and then high roll getting feathers to get the mask. Okay. Otherwise, you get doubloons. Can you sell the doubloons? No, untradeable. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess we go to Looty. Do some of these Looty quests. Well, I mean, I guess I could do the Mush Mom Spore. What was that quest? This is a crazy quest. Drake's Blood. Mush Mom Spore, I think, is going to be the hardest one to get. Nice song in the background. Oh, thank you. Let's... Oh, that's a Sleepywood scroll, not a Henny scroll. I'll use the cab to go to Henny. Save a scroll. It's about the same, right? All right, let's go see Mush Mom. Let's see if we can high roll it. Because even if she doesn't drop Ilby, she still drops the spore guaranteed. It's through here, right? Pig Park. Wait, is this right? I think so. Because they have the pitfall where if you fall down, it teleports you to a separate map. Iron pigs can't hurt me. Oh, wait. Were these always so high leveled? I don't remember iron hogs being like level 40 monsters. I know they're really dangerous, but still. Because you can craft their hooves into steel plates, so they're pretty decent to train on. Because then you can use steel to craft claws, if I remember correctly. Which is also pretty cool for the economy. I wonder how many weapons they're going to maybe add to that pool of craftable weapons. Because it definitely feels like the ores and the crystals Some of them are good because they're required for certain equips and certain quests, and the rest of them are just super mid for no reason. And that would be a good way to add some value to the... Oh, there you are. Fuck, I can't hit her? Oh, God. She's level 60. Yo, what's up, lucky boy? Oh, my God. She's so tanky. Okay, I got played, chat. They sent me on a quest to fight Mush Mom, but she's too high level, so I can't hit her. The maladies were also a little bit out of my range, so... At least she's here. I was kind of expecting somebody to be camping it, trying to get Ilbies. Version 232B2 has been released. Old versions will close... Wait, hang on, let me see what this says. Some system message. Old versions will close soon due to a bug. So they're going to force log me out. Interesting. I wonder what the bug is. Probably something to do with the Mardi Gras quest, if I had to guess. Because that was like a new one they just added, yeah? Today or yesterday. So I'll use a... Yeah, we'll use an Alinea scroll and take the boat. Oh, wait. I can use this portal as a shortcut. So in Alinea, this portal here leads to the boat. They eventually they changed this map around eventually so that it's not in Alinea, it's in a hub. Oh, there it is. They changed it so that the boat is in a hub map. Similar to how Sleepywood is like a hub that leads to all the major cities, they added like a second hub where all the cities converge to get to the boat platform. Check my messages, I guess, while I have a second. Okay, log in. Ooh. I can make another character too. That's exciting. Oh, a little laggy. Now everybody's logging back in. Would you like to board the ship to Orbis? You have to go to Orbis first and then Ludi, right? You can teleport to Orbis if you need to get there as soon as possible. Would you like to teleport for 100,000 mesos? I wonder... There's definitely a lot of pros and cons to giving late game players the chance to teleport for a fee like that. It's kind of cool to force end game players to still have to take the bus like everybody else, and you get like a mixture of new players and old players, and they can kind of flex like their equipment and their level and their NX and stuff. I think that's maybe an acceptable meso sync. Definitely they'll probably start out... Well, we aren't going to have extra continents in Classic World, so they'll have a lot of time to gather feedback and think about it. I haven't taken a boat ride on Chrono yet. I'm a cheapskate. I've got 6 mil, but I know I need way more than that to actually make any sort of headway in this game if I'm going to start scrolling my equipment and stuff. But this is, let me tell you, one of the most archaic things about MapleStory. I don't think I've ever played a single other game that had a real-time transportation system like this. Like, literally, it's a bus. Don't worry too much about money. It'll come super easy after 70. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to take the boat just for nostalgia. Literally, the boat would come, I think it's every 15 minutes. Then you physically have to wait 5 minutes or maybe even 10 minutes, I think it is, to actually complete the journey to get to the other continent. And it's like, it's a video game. You can teleport as much as you want. Oh my god! They teleported me below decks. Okay, so the other thing you have to know is that above decks, there's a monster that appears called a Crimson Balrog. And you have to hide below deck so it doesn't kill you. And this is where everybody would hang out and chat. You could like AFK, you know, go get a snack or whatever, then come back. Actually, that's probably a good idea. I should probably go let my dogs out. But people would like chat in here. You have to wait for the boat to take off and then go AFK below decks, because normally what'll happen is that you'll teleport onto the boat, but you'll be outside and the Balrogs will kill you when you're AFK. And if you die on the boat, you get sent back. They eventually changed it, so if you die on the boat, you can still ride the boat and you'll res at the next stop. But if I remember correctly, if you die and then try to resurrect yourself, you go back to the starting station where you came from. And it was a huge rite of passage as a noob. Everybody who's never ridden the boat before didn't know about the Crimson Balrogs, and they would one-shot you. It was super funny. And, like, that's another thing, too. High-level players would fight the Balrogs as a way to pass the time on the way to Orbis or Ludi or whatever. So it was, like, basically an exclusive map. Because I don't remember Crimson Balrogs appearing anywhere except the boat ride. In the lore of the game, they're the Crimson Balrogs are sky pirates. That's why they attack the boat. Higher levels would bait them outside. It was really funny, yeah. Like, oh yeah, check it out outside, or if you look outside, there's a chance you get a rare item. I fell for all kinds of shit back in the day. Or, yeah, come sit outside with me and chat and I'll give you some mesos. They would literally do it to troll you. It's super funny. I'm afraid to go out there because I'm level 41. Crimson Balrogs are like level 60. I think they would still one-shot me as a warrior. I have almost 3k HP. I don't want to get one-shot and risk it. I don't even know if Crimson Balrogs have been programmed into Chronostory. And if I'm just afraid of nothing. But the fact that they teleported me inside is crazy. So that means that, but that is ironically a quality of life change, because you can pay to get on the boat and then immediately AFK rather than waiting for the boat to take off going below decks before you get AFK, because you can pre-buy your ticket and wait for the boat to show up, and then you get on the boat. And I think they made it so that you had to actually physically watch the boat show up and then click on the NPC before you were allowed onto the boat. There wasn't like a waiting area that would automatically teleport. Like, it was legitimately, you were doing nothing and you were forced to sit there and pay attention and click when it was time. So they're going to have to do some sort of hybrid system for sure, because that is one thing that MMO players despise, is not using your time as efficiently as possible. Like, this waiting where I'm not grinding, I'm not getting experience, is just one of those things that MapleStory had. And it's a great, like I said, it's a great environment to just like shoot the breeze. You're forced to not be training So you are just like, yeah, talking about what you're gonna do. Maybe you scoop up a couple party members for LPQ, that kind of thing. Like, oh, what are you going to Ludi to do? Maple learned so many kids some wise lessons. Yep, I got drop scammed. I got trade scammed. So one thing you got to watch out for, chat, is somebody will trade you, like you're trying to sell a scroll or buy a scroll, and they'll put, so like 10%, 100% scrolls have this, 10% scrolls have this yellow color, 100% scrolls have this blue color, and 60% scrolls have this, like, you know, orangey color. And they'll go to trade you a glove for attack or whatever, and then they'll click the wrong button and close the trade window. And then they'll, oh, quick, trade me back. You open the trade window, they put the scroll back in, and then you click trade. But in that gap, they put the wrong scroll in there. They'll sell you a useless one instead, right? 200 axe for attack, which is only worth like 1 mil. And so then you trade, and then they leave, and then when you check your inventory to look at the scroll, it's a completely different fucking scroll, and you get scammed that way. So always double check the contents of trade windows before you accept, no matter what. God, it's gonna be a massacre. The first month of Classic World is going to be a fucking massacre. People are going to be learning some hard lessons, let me tell you. The people who never played old school MapleStory, but they're like, oh yeah, everybody's always talking about Classic World. Or people that just forgot, they gonna learn. It's gonna be terrible. Do you want to teleport to another station? Yeah, so you go to Orbis first, and then you have to take another train to Ludi. But while I'm here in Orbis, I do have a quest to turn in this mysterious item to Kriel the Fairy. And I guess I can accept the Nep and Death Juice quest. And if I remember correctly, Osiria and Ludi runs on a circuit, right? I can't remember if you can go from Ludi back to Victoria Island, or you have to go from Ludi to Osiria, then back to Victoria. God, I haven't been in Osiria in so long. I would never come here. Like, you always just go to Ludibrium so you can LPQ at this level range. There were, like, 1 or 2 really easy quests that you could knock out, but you didn't really have to spend a lot of time here. I don't even remember where Kriel the Fairy is. I remember what she looks like. But you have to eventually come here if you want to buy, like, higher level equipment. She's in the potion shop. Thank you, dude. Oh my goodness, thank you. Oh my god, the Reef Claw. And Ludi also has the pill potions, the pill form potions. They're more expensive, but you can stash more of them in one slot, which they don't have in Chronostory. This is going to be another really annoying thing playing Classic World, is that potions only stack up to 300. So if you want to carry 6,000 potions, it's going to eat up like half of your inventory. Helping Kriel. You have some spare time? Can you help me? I can give you a task that will enable you to go to different places and get acclimated to Osiria. So Osiria leads to El Nath, right? Wait. Yes. And El Nath is like the kind of end game area they eventually add to MapleStory, because that's like where the 3rd job advancement is. 20 empty potion bottles, 200 solid horns, and 50 Nep and Death seeds. I know that solid horns come from Lioners. Yeah, Osiria is Orbis and Elnath, right? I'm trying to remember. What? Where do you get empty potion bottles? Ooh, 60% scrolls. Empty potion bottles. I think the fairies dropped them. Oh my god. The frickin' you hit boxes in Orbis Town. You are so good at this game. I'm glad you know all this crazy knowledge that I don't remember. Okay, Orbis Tower leads to El Nath. We don't want to go this way yet. Oh, hang on. A little bit of lag. Gosh, these statues, the skybox, oh my god, the parallax background. This is just so iconic, my lord. I'm actually kind of a little disappointed that we aren't going to have Osiria right away in Classic World. When they do you remember, did they add Orbis and Ludi at the same time? Or did they add Orbis first and then Ludi after? Nepin Deaths are plant monsters, by the way. I know that there were junior liners in Amoria. Beta was Victoria only on the official launch and included the entire Osiria without Zakum in third job. Oh, okay, that's what it was. Uh-oh. This is so crazy, because, like, during my time with the game, everything was just so centralized around Ludi PQ. That a lot of these quests I just never bothered with. Like, they weren't efficient enough compared to just waiting to do LPQ. And so I'm looking forward to an environment where I'm just going to be doing quests most of the time. And not have our leveling all centralized around a PQ. I think it's cool. Because, like, party quests are super fun, and it's great to incentivize the social aspect of the game, which is what a lot of people really remember about old school Maple, in my opinion. But also, back in the day, there was only a handful of quests that were actually worth it because of just the amount of experience they gave, or mesos they gave were incredibly high, or it was like a specific exclusive item that the quest gave, that sort of thing. I do hope that they increase the drop rate a little bit, though. That would be very welcome, either for equipment or even for, like, rare monster drops. Because I remember grinding on pigs for like 800,000 years and only finding like 2 pig's heads, and you need 10 of them for Ming Ming's quest line, and like another 5 for the Unagi special line, apparently. And it's a mess. Yeah, exactly. The ones that gave good scrolls or capes. And even with Icarus, it was still a high roll. There was 3 different Icarus capes. One of them gave you jump, one of them gave you speed, and one of them gave you... What was the other one? It was something stupid like magic defense, I think. Yeah, exactly. Everybody wanted the speed, because it wasn't like speed plus 5. It was like speed plus 5 or speed plus 10. It was actually pretty legit. When you're low level, go buy the white Guma Shins. It's a shoe that they sell in Kerning. It gives you like speed +2. And the weapon defense of actually wearing good footwear doesn't matter over just having a little bit of extra movement speed to get from A to B. And that's another thing as well. It feels bad to like do a quest like that, and then because you can only do the quest once per character, if you don't get the right cape, then it's like a wash. And like your character is just like nerfed forever, if that makes any sense. Maybe they'll reevaluate that aspect of certain quests as well. The Icarus one was 15 avoid. Oh, that's cringe. The 15 avoid is maybe better because they added the nimble recovery on bandits, where when you avoid an attack, you heal a bit. I don't know if they'll ever have some sort of like avoidance build, but that like speed is just better regardless. Like getting from A to B. Oh my god, Nepin deaths, honey. Oh my god. There was a quest, right, where you needed like 10 or 100 Nepin death honey. And they're also like a really monstrously rare drop. Bye, babe. Love you. Be safe. Keep me posted. But yeah, it's like if you make it so that you can pick which cape you get, everybody's just going to pick the speed cape anyway. Or if it's listed as Icarus cape number 3 and they don't let you see the stats, it's another if you know kind of thing. So it becomes a noob trap. That is one thing I don't mind that if they were to fix it, is if they make it so that there's less noob traps in the game, if I'm honest. Because I would rather players just be able to jump in and play and not have to worry about doing like a ton of research on their build and everything like that. Because MapleStory is pretty punishing if you allocate your stat points and your skill points wrong. My first character, I wanted to make a mage. I remember this specifically. My very first character, I didn't do my job advancement until I was like level 12. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know any better. Yeah, like Chrono has 1 million for a full AP or SP reset. And like SP resets are going to be really important too, right? There's like the where you respec in third job. So like you can certain classes need to like there's a skill in first job that they don't max, but then they might need it later. It's like disorder or threaten that they eventually circle back around to max out for bossing. And that's a great way to also add a money sink. Everybody eventually will be able to respec around certain skills or certain builds, you know what I mean? And then you just charge a little premium on top of that. But yeah, I was a Giga Scrub. I didn't class change until level 12. And I was putting points in strength, right? Because you don't have any magic spells. And you're like, oh, I want to deal more damage to the enemies. So I'm gonna put points in strength, even though I'm a magician. And like, you just don't know any better. Because you have to put points in intelligence because your intelligence stats affects how many... Uh-oh. I can't fight these? Uh-oh. Your intelligence stat affects how many, what's-a-names, MP points you get per level up. So if you don't put enough points into MP, into intelligence, and you also miss out on MP, it's a whole thing. They did fix the HP skill, where rather than needing to max this first because it applies per level, they apply it as a flat percentage. So that way you can actually get Slash Blast first, rather than whacking things for the first 5 levels of your career. Damn it. Oh my god. Speaking of damn it, the jump quests are gonna go insane. I don't think any of these MapleStory World servers have recreated jump quests, have they? It's too much trouble. Like, nobody does them. Nobody's gonna go through the frustration of doing them on a MapleStory World server. But the jump quests, y'all have no fucking idea. Like, MapleStory is an exercise in patience. That must be made apparent. And the jump quests are a perfect encapsulation of that. The rewards are shit. You do them just to have a quest to do. I swear. All right, where do I get the Neppen Death juice made? I need to talk to Erickson. He's the guy with the beard. I think he's in town. I was walking down the path because I thought lioners were down here. Maybe I have to go left. So I can get the solid horns. Wait, solid horns come off of Junior Boogies, don't they? Oh my god, I don't want to fight Junior Boogies. 200? Yeah. Oh, this is just Neppen Deaths. I remember fighting the Junior Lioners in Amoria because they would drop, like, a lot of Mesos. For monsters of that level, they dropped, like, triple what monsters of that level range would normally drop. And so I would go to Amoria to grind to try to find Mesos a lot. Oh my god. These little shortcut portals, man. They're really well placed. I just am not used to having such teleporty convenience. I miss Jump Quest, hours of fun we had with friends raging in Ventrilo. Holy moly, Ventrilo! Oh my god, Ventrilo. For the Bambinos in the chat, Ventrilo is what we used before Discord was invented. I think it's still... Isn't Ventrilo still around, technically? But yeah, it's what gamers used to talk before Discord was invented. The Road to the Garden of Three Colors. This sounds like Lioners to me, because I know there's 3 different kinds. At least the Junior Lioners, there was 3 kinds. Honestly, Road to the Garden of Three Colors is a really bad... Here they are! Hi, little guys! The Junior Groupins. The Junior Cellians. And then the Junior Lioners are the orange ones. Oh my god, I love these little guys. These are like my favorite enemies. These and slimes. But like, yeah, it's like a level 33 enemy, but they... I don't know, it feels nerfed. I remember them having like a really good Meso drop rate. I think they have their own quests where it's like kill 100 of each color or something. Damn. Watch out, you're auto-selling your etc. Oh, because it's full. Yeah. How do I turn that off? Let's get rid of Black Bull's deed to the land. My god. I need to pay to increase my etc. slots. Back in the day, you had to pay an X for it. So I wonder if that's another thing they'll add to Classic World. It's a great idea. all of like the expansions of the inventory slots. Oh yeah, and then here it is. Up here is where it splits into 3, and then each garden has its own individual. I forget what the difference is between the Groupins, the Cellians, and the Lioners. I think it's an elemental weakness thing. Flaming Feather. They have different. They have different drop tables as well. I think Lioners drop the most money, and that's why we always trained on them. Flaming Feather is for a quest, if I recall. And I'm just looking to see if there's any, like, I'll drop these stupid lunar pixie moon pieces. Yeah, I think if you go deeper, you fight, they aren't junior anymore. They're like the full-size Lioners. I always call them Lioners, but that's only the yellow ones are called Lioners. Yo, what's up, Mad Wheels? Welcome back. I am now in Osiria, which is kind of like the ruins in the sky islands sort of thing. Damn. Hang on. So the Meso, is it the Groupins that drop all the money? 95, that's not bad. Let's check. Because they all drop solid horns. That's all we care about. The Garden of Green. I don't have my muscle memory to cast Rage. Yeah, look, you see, these drop slightly more Mesos on average. The Meso coin becomes a stack of money when it's over 100. Yeah, so we farm these. Hell yeah, the Groupins. Cape for intelligence? Oh my god. And they drop leather, too. I'm wearing some work gloves because I accidentally crafted them, if you can believe that. And then I had a glove for attack on my inventory, and I said, fuck it, let's go. And I failed the glove for attack scroll, so I'm just wearing, like, a completely useless pair of work gloves because I don't have anything better to wear in that slot. I got a purple work glove from the Maple Island quest. The beginner island quest where you random a work glove. Ooh, magic rock. Hang on. I gotta clear my inventory. I forget what magic rocks are used for. I really gotta empty my inventory. I don't need these damn slime bubbles. Good thing it didn't auto sell that for me. Get rid of these tablecloths, I guess. I would like to drop the tablecloths, please. There we go. If you have gacha tickets, you can get some good items in the Lith Harbor gacha. Oh, I've been using all of my gacha tickets in Perion for warrior equipment. It says to check the Discord for rates, but I guess I'm a bit of a scrub in that way as well because I never bothered to check. But definitely, they're gonna, and let's be frank, they're gonna add Gachapon in Classic World. I think it's fine if stop T. It's okay. They might Tango. It's okay. They might do the thing where it's like a Overwatch loot box where there's a certain cosmetic that you want, but you can't buy it directly in the shop. You have to go to the gachapon for it. And so they'll make more money that way rather than just letting you buy it straight up, which is kind of scummy. I don't know if they'll put like equipment inside the gachapon. If it's at least as long as it's not exclusive, it might be fine. Because that's the big thing. When it's like a certain weapon that you can only get by paying real money to get, it's like, it feels real fucking bad. But then it kind of undoes your reason for adding meso sinks into the game, in my opinion. Because then people were spending real money and then just bleeding like scrolls and equips back into the economy. So then it's like even more chunks of mesos being created out of thin air. Maybe it's fine in a way, because it's like Nexon gets to basically scam you by having you spend real money and then you on a gacha ticket, and then you just get an equip that would drop from a monster naturally anyway. I guess it's one thing if the gacha equipments are maybe better on average, so they sell for a lot of mesos, and then they can tax the transaction. So it kind of actually bleeds mesos out of the economy directly. I'm just spitballing. The study of MMO economics is kind of like its own branch. It's really fascinating to me, if I'm honest. There's this old YouTube channel called Extra Credits that would do like game design deep dives, and they had this really interesting episode about MMO economies. How it's a facsimile of the real world economy, but it has sort of its own rules and tendencies. Some real world economic principles apply, but most of them don't. They'll put pink adventurer cape and brown work gloves behind gacha 100%. Oh, true. That's going to suck too, because pink adventurer cape has base weapon attack on it, right? Or is it just, it has tons of scroll slots so you can upgrade it super hard? Brown work glove, I think, also had a base weapon attack on it, and then you could scroll it from there. So it has like a higher potential ceiling. We'll have to see, because they might do it and then change their mind. And that's just the thing, right? Like, everybody wants to play Classic World, but nobody trusts Nexon as a company. Like, we know they're going to monetize the game. We're just trying to come up with a good compromise. Pink was weapon attack, but yellow had more slots. I wonder how ham people are going to go, like, right out of the gate in terms of, like, trying to scroll things. It's hard to imagine there's going to be enough money in the game right away that people will be able to actually buy scrolls or farm enough scrolls or enough equipment to matter. Because I'll tell you what, I know we're going to have, like, sauna robes on the market, like, 3 days in. I wouldn't be surprised. Because even if Dexless is technically not the best build, without maple weapons in the game, Dexless does get outscaled in third job. But if third job doesn't exist and Ilbies exist, then Dexless Sin is still the highest damage build, even after the nerfs, right? And I don't know how many nerds have crunched the numbers already to prove that. And we don't have confirmation that they've changed the magic attack calculation formula. So luckless mages are probably not viable anymore. But people will probably still do it, right? Because even if clerics aren't super duper viable, they still have the same loop of MP Eater for free MP, heal for free HP. You don't have to spend money on mesos, on potions anymore. So it's all pure profit. Oh, I gotta clear my selling inventory. How many of those horns do I have? I don't even... Oh, we do have 200 horns. Okay. What's my worst equip to throw away here? Ooh, 39 magic defense blue moon earrings. Wow. Oh, this stupid level 15 shield. All right, let's go to the market and see what we got. Oh, nice. Jings did find his dragon toenail. Sick. I was actually playing with this guy earlier. We were grinding some quests together. Actually, yeah, he's still in my party as the HP bar. But he left the party to go grind for a dragon toenail. So I've got the blue helmet, which I don't need. Level 60 shoes, which I kind of need. Don't need that. Nordic helm, don't need. Scalar. Level 50 dagger. Ooh, 63 weapon attack. I'll keep that in storage because I do plan on making a bandit at some point on Chronostory. Three strength, 44. Ooh, I think I'll just run this 3 strength Nordic helm. Look like a whole bullet casing. I can equip the blue moon earrings. I just have random cat's eye. White martial arts shorts is dex +2, weapon defense +34. And then I have strength MP 34 plus 45 is 79. Is that better than my Crusader? It's more weapon defense, but this gives me strength +7. And so then that's strength +3, dex +2. I think my Crusader top is still better. My Crusader overall. I'm going to sleep, but I'll drop by next time if you need help in game. Nice. I'm not sure if... Oops. Hang on. My thing fell and mashed on my keyboard. But thank you for stopping by. I appreciate that. I might be back at it with more MapleStory on Saturday, but we'll see. Oh my god. Hey god. My thing fell and touched my keyboard and it mashed a key and closed all my stuff out. But yeah, have a good sleep. I appreciate you. Yeah, we still got a bunch of stuff to sell. A bunch of luck +4. It's a level 35 thief glove. We just put these in storage real quick so I don't accidentally sell them. I mean, this Crusader... What? My storage is full? Oh my god. Well, I don't need that. Don't need that. I'll just take out some stuff to sell. I can't believe I got the intelligence bamboo hat. Cringe. Put that in. The Arbion. Okay, and I think we can sell everything else. The extra MP doesn't really matter. $45 weapon defense, 34 weapon defense. It's because these are only level 35 pants. I might be able to find something level 40. And like I said, this overall gives me 7 strength. This thing is just ridiculous. Honestly, I should probably scroll it if we're being for real. It's funny how I'm seeing a lot more bandits running around. I've definitely noticed that. And it's like when you are on a server like this or a MapleStory Classic World thing, where you can rework some of the classes that are a bit awkward to play or add some quality of life, it opens room for some more of these other classes to see play. And honestly, I think a lot of people are just playing Bandit on Chronostory in anticipation of Classic World, because Bandit was like super duper Omega buffed. All right, so I need a one more solid horn, according to this. Weird. And then the empty potion bottle, I was told. Wow, a couple more drops already. Was in Orbis Town. So if I use nearest town, it should bring me right back. Yes. 20 empty potions, man. It's humiliating is what it is. Yeah, these little crates. Okay. They break in one hit. Back in the day, man, they didn't have like an HP. You had to sit there and wail on them and hit them like 3 or 4 times, I think, for them to break. There's a lot of quests like this where you have to destroy these destructible objects. There's a few early game quests in Alinea where you have to like find these plants in the forest and harvest these special leaves from them. And you have to walk up to them and hit them like 3 or 4 times before they give you the leaf. And it's not a guaranteed drop. So it adds a lot of crazy busy work and tedium to the game. Oh, thank you for taking out that crab. Well done. And I don't know if I finished my thought earlier when I was talking about the closed test that they're setting up for everybody who went to MapleCon and everybody who participated in the in-person test in the PC cafes get an automatic invite. And then beyond that, I think they said that it's only going to be for 100,000, 50,000 people. It seems like a really small test, so I'm not sure like how coveted those spots are going to be. I know that the in-person tests, the PC cafe tests, I saw on the subreddit that there wasn't enough. You nerfed the crab. Where are my patch notes? Did I? I think the crab is physically smaller, but I didn't change its stats. I was trying to resize some of the monsters to not so they didn't crowd into the screen as much. Where the hell is Erickson? It only had 7 HP. Crab used to be 10 HP. Really? I'll have to investigate that. It might have somehow loaded the wrong stat line. Maybe it was a visual bug where one of your hits registered as only dealing 1 damage, but it really dealt 3. We'll comb through it. Let's try this way. I think Erickson might be this way. Yeah, there he is. Orbis Park. But, like, jump quests, some of the early game really tedious quests, like, are they going to rebalance those so doing all the quests feel worth it? Or are they going to keep them, like, mid? That whole thing. Okay, our next quest is Star Pixie's Headpiece and Lunar Pixie's Moon Piece, which are those floaty ghost things with the mage hats. I do have sniper potions, which might actually help in terms of the accuracy buff. I got a lot of, like, nonsense that I gotta sell. Let me clean out my inventory. In MapleStory, it always feels really bad to sell these weird monster drops, because as soon as you do, a quest will want you to go and get 6,000 of them. You know what I mean? Wait. Oh, I see. I have to... Yeah, the other quest is for Creel the Fairy. I was like, wait, didn't I turn in that quest? But no, it's Creel the Fairy to get the Nepenthe juice. No, Erickson is supposed to make the Nepenthe juice for Alphonse. Creel has her own thing going on. You don't have enough space in your inventory. Damn it. I'll just use these stupid shield for defense scrolls. Hooray. Oh my god. One-handed blunt weapon for accuracy. Two-handed sword for accuracy. Gloves for defense. Bow for attack. Gun for attack. Cape for intelligence. Two-handed axe for attack. We'll end up using those eventually. I got the stupid Mardi Gras doubloon in my inventory. Let's get rid of these warrior potions. I only have 4 of them. These stupid lemons that I don't need. Alright, lay it on me, Creel the Fairy. And then I will get another two-handed axe for attack. Beautiful, and we level up. Couple points in dex for accuracy, the rest in strength. And then for our skill points, I think we just go into Fatal Strike. It's just damage and range. I really think that getting booster last is probably best. I was putting points into rage because I liked the attack buff, and I was actually thinking that there was a PQ to kind of spec for, but there isn't, so I just have rage. I think it's still really strong, though. Like, 10 weapon attack is a little insane. Like, actually, let's look at the numbers. 265 to 448. becomes 310 to 524. Like, it's actually a really huge boost for just a small investment. So, speccing into Rage versus speccing into Final Strike, Fatal Attack, or whatever is maybe about the same. Although Rage is probably just more consistent damage because Fatal Strike is still a % chance to happen. But the range is just a nice little quality of life thing. So next up is the Star Pixies and the Lunar Pixies. Now we're high enough level to get the next Icarus quest in order to get that Icarus potion. Excavation site? I didn't even realize that the excavation site was available. Eventually we'll have to go back and clear 999 Dark Eyes as well to get some levels. But a lot of good progress today. I think we started the stream at like level 36. We ended the stream at level 42. Pretty solid. A lot of great discussion today as well. And some help from Quixotic. We got a last second follow from Hog Crankin' Demon. Thank you and welcome to the Knighthood, Hog Crankin' Demon. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here. Tango and Gilly have been very well behaved. They haven't been yelling at me, but it is time for them to go and get their dinner. And I've got work in the morning. And then we'll be right back at it again for Saturday. So I'll see you then.